Have any
Hi,
of you guys?
everybody. We are now live. It is 7 o'clock out where I live, and I don't care what time it is where you live. I'm tentatively calling this the Friday Funhouse because people asked if we were going to do it again. So we are, and this is not a serious talk about anything at all. It is basically bullshit. I said it for 4 hours. I don't think we're going to go that long because everyone's tired, kind of. Um,
I'm okay.
Fine.
I'm guilty.
Atticus is fine. So here it's me, um, Monkey Tail 2002, Finite Atticus, and Schizophrenic Queen. I
Yeah.
invited Armor Skeptic, but he hates us, so I guess he's not going to be joining us.
No.
I was talking to him a little earlier. He went offline.
No,
Oh,
yeah.
really?
Yeah.
At some point.
I think
Okay.
he's busy. He said he was going to come in if he could.
Oh. What is he doing?
I don't know. Wait.
Hmm.
We looked through the... No.
I'm going to go get something to keep me awake.
Get all
That
the coffee.
usually means alcohol.
Not tonight, unfortunately.
I actually did make a booze run, just a little.
Can you run some over from where you are in Massachusetts to Scotland?
No. Unfortunately not.
We
Yeah.
haven't mastered the teleportation technology yet.
I think tomorrow I will remain dry through the whole thing.
You heard it here first, folks. The most boring episode of A Very Public Spanking of, because you are fucking hilarious when you're drunk.
Oh my Christ! Okay. So after every episode, I look for the funniest part so I can put it together for a promo.
Yeah.
And it was how long? It was 4 hours. It was 5 hours, I think. So.
I don't. Those days I forget on purpose.
Yeah, and when I listened to it, I said, "Holy shit!" I made a joke about Schindler's List in the middle.
Yeah, dude, you saw that, did you? You're like, I'm gonna make a joke about Schindler's List, and I don't care who knows.
Unfortunately, my sober self said, "That's no good. That's just okay."
So
it's
tomorrow's
good, but
show
it's
is gonna
not
be
good."
look at those guys. They're so dumb. Boy, those are dumb guys. It'll be 4 hours of that.
All right, I'll go boozing. Okay.
You're better when you say things that you don't intend to mean. You know, that you would never normally say.
You know what? I'm wondering whether or not I'll say something that will alienate the entire show. Because everybody's like, "Oh my
That'll
fuck!"
alienate the entire show.
We can't imagine anymore. Finite Atticus is too off the handle, man.
And everybody knows you can't just boot him off, right?
Oh,
He's an
who
integral
says?
part of the show. He's
Really?
like,
Fuck it, we're doing it anyway.
Well, out of the group that does it, you have the best voice.
Oh,
you
thank
do.
You
Okay,
have a
wait.
voice.
Okay, now I have to ask because everybody says that. Do I have a voice as good or maybe slightly not as good as Seth Andrews,
I don't
I
know
don't
who
know
that
who that is.
the thinking atheist? He was a radio host for like 20 years.
Gonna say you've got a voice for radio, so
I guess. I mean, yeah. Yes,
mean, 'cause
better.
He's got.
I'm going to
that-
say
he's
yeah
got
because
that
I haven't
radio
listened to his
thing.
voice in... Oh, sorry.
His voice was trained for radio.
Yeah,
So-
and he does such an excellent job of it.
Oh, you mean this last video from like 9 years ago?
The thinking atheist?
Yeah.
No, he posts every week. He does a
He
podcast.
posts podcasts. He doesn't do videos anymore. Not really.
That's what I mean. I listen to his podcast. I think it's excellent.
I stopped listening to it.
What are you drinking?
That looks like scotch.
It is.
What is it?
amaretto.
You're drinking amaretto?
Yep.
Okay.
It's the
I don't
only
even know what that tastes. It's the only booze in the house aside from the rubbing alcohol.
years ago.
Isn't that for cooking?
But
Amaretto?
amaretto, no, it's just a drink that tastes of marzipan.
Ugh. Oh, there are two
No.
things that I don't like.
Wait, what's marzipan is like licorice, isn't it?
No, marzipan is almond paste.
Oh, okay, all right. Oh, well, that doesn't sound too bad to me.
It's what,
So
almond paste?
delicious.
Yeah, I like almonds.
It's all right. It's more like molding clay that you can eat.
It's traditional Christmas cakes over here, and the Germans, they love marzipan, although their version is persipan.
It's what caused World War One.
The Germans love it.
I,
They
I, I
flavor it
thought
in
the assassination of Archduke Ferdinand caused that.
Yeah, but did you ever question how they killed him? It was with marzipan.
Oh,
They
that was.
molded a marzipan gun, and then shot him with equally disgusting German candy.
I did not know that.
Well, now you know.
Man.
Jason
German-
teaches me
German-
stuff. That's great.
But both of you talked at the same time.
Go ahead.
I know.
Uh-oh. The amaretto has made him Randy.
What did Atticus say? I didn't hear that part.
I just laughed.
Oh.
No, before that.
I
Yeah.
can't remember.
God damn it!
Are you sure you're not drinking?
No, I am. I bought some for tonight. I was gonna say
Oh.
tomorrow. Tomorrow I was gonna try and do it so I didn't say anything about like dead Jewish people. Because that was
You know, a downer.
awful, and yeah.
I hope my hair curlers work. I'm trying to get like an afro.
See, here's the thing. I'm so used to you with like wigs and stuff like that. I don't know what your natural hair right now looks like. I don't even know how long it is really.
It's black and the sides go down to like my chin.
Oh,
I
so
guess.
what you had last week was your
Yeah.
that was your hair.
That
Oh,
was
okay,
my
cool.
hair. I dyed it black though.
Queenie, are you excited that you're going to be joining us in a couple of weeks' time?
Yeah.
What?
I don't know what I'm gonna contribute exactly. I might just be like the delicate wallflower who goes her at everybody's jokes but
You'll be the only person laughing at our jokes, believe me.
I laugh at a lot of things, especially things that I potentially shouldn't laugh at.
Like
you're-
people getting hit by cars in the intersection, and baby birds falling out of nests, and other things you shouldn't
Well,
laugh at.
there was this one video I saw, and I found it disturbing, but I still laughed at it. And it's like this squirrel going towards a mouse trap, and the music's playing. It's like, what's this? What's this? And then the squirrel goes for the mouse trap, and it snaps closed, and the squirrel's kind of like, ugh, and it's like, what the fuck? And I was like, I don't know how to react to this.
You don't know how to react to an animal dying.
No, I mean, like, just because they did the sound effects, like, what's this? What's this? And it was like, what the
So
fuck?
that's what was missing from the Holocaust. Loony sound effects. That's what it needed. And people would have just
I'm
laughed it all off.
Oh, God. Oh, you guys are okay. All right, fine.
I'm terrible. I'm sorry.
I don't.
You're
No, I
not
don't
terrible.
feel so bad.
There, see, I took the heat off you. We
I
just
wish I
lost.
could-
We lost a viewer.
I wish I could have being drunk as an excuse, but I can't drink because of my medications.
Yeah, I can't drink either.
We should read
Okay.
this.
You are so funny while sober, though.
It's being insecure and being an actor. I've been this way since I was 5. It's the look at me gene. That's what I got. Look at me. Look at me.
Fuck knows what
That's
I
what I do, but I'm not as good at it as you are, because, like, the way I do it is very obvious. I'm like, look at me! And you're
You jump out of
all
a closet. Look at me.
yeah. And you're all, like, subtle, like, sauntering out, like, look at me.
I
look at me.
am not a subtle person.
Well, fine, you come out with the puppets, and it's more endearing, instead of my jumping out of the closet
It's
going,
easier
"Look
to
at
lure the
that!"
children into the van with the puppets.
As long as it's got candy written on the side, it should work.
Actually, it's an ice cream van.
Oh, even
With
better.
Oh, I'm sorry, kids. The window's broken. Come around back to the door. Why don't you reach into the freezer yourself? Won't that be fun?
I'll take you to the lake house.
Now let's go to the lake house.
That's it. You're the cow snatcher. You go around town going, sweets! I've got sweets!
Oh,
Come
two
around,
sweet.
children."
No, yeah. Sweets, children. Ugh, the creepiest damn thing on the planet.
Mm.
Oh,
I wish
we've got a repeat offender tomorrow.
You've got what?
A repeat offender for
Who?
tomorrow's show. We've seen him before.
Oh,
Oh, you'll see.
isn't Bod to Bits going to be on tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm talking about videos.
Oh,
Is it
video.
the
Oh,
crystal
oh,
rapist?
oh, oh, oh. Oh
No,
no.
crystal rapist. He hasn't prophesized crystal death to everyone.
But I did
Oh,
like
wait.
that one part where it's like, oh, he put crystals in it. I felt so dirty.
That was the best joke through the whole night. Like, I mean, a lot of it was funny, but that was just fucking hilarious. It made
That
everybody
was a
fall
good
off their
one.
chairs.
Yeah.
So we're doing Bible prophecies, and I'm trying to think of who.
No, we're doing doomsday prophecies.
Oh, doomsday prophecies. So not necessarily. So we're doing like Nostradamus and
Because the Bible really only has one doomsday prophecy, if you think about it.
Well, one of these days when one of the raptures comes up, because I remember the last one, I wasn't prepared for it. I just ended up buying a bunch of candy. But like for the next rapture or whatever, what I want to do is fill a bunch of like inflatable dolls with helium and just let them go.
Loosely tie some clothes on them so it falls off as they float up.
Yeah, but all of the rest of them were thinking, how come all of those people with blowjob mouths are floating up into the sky?
Because God wants head.
We did it wrong.
bring them
We
back
should have
down.
You see the church congregation immediately fall to their knees and start just sucking each other up. This is apparently what God likes. Oh, we lost another one.
Bye. See you later.
Is this gonna be see how many people we can lose? Like first it was the squirrel thing, and now it's the blowjob.
Well, I mean, we
lips.
really didn't announce it to anybody, and the views actually. I don't think you ever really get that many views on the broadcast. You get a lot of views afterwards.
Yeah,
Mm.
that presuppositional apologetics thing I did with Deconverted Man now has 1,500 views.
Is that what you get before soup?
Huh? Well,
You said presuppositional.
no, that was deliberate.
Oh, okay.
See, what we were doing was we were lampooning, obviously, presuppositional apologetics. So
Oh, okay.
I was pretending that I was defending the turtle god, and he was defending some sort of made-up lobster god. And he did it in the style of William Lane Craig, and I did it in the style of Cy Ten Bruggencate. And we were essentially doing religion against religion, presuppositional apologetics. You gotta, I mean, it's
I
an
saw
hour and
part of that.
I think it's an hour and a half. I can't remember, but it was so much fun. It was so much fun because we were just making it up on the spot. I was like, oh, and how do you know that? And how do you know that to be true? That's not true. No, we're different than you because our religion is different. It's totally different. And it just we were actually using logic and reason to debunk each other at the same time, but I thought it came out really well. Yeah.
Did I ever tell you guys the porn store story?
Sure, go right ahead. I want to hear this.
Okay, so
Porn?
I was in a porn store with some older guy who was. Okay, so it's kind of weird.
Pervy
I went
old
to the
man.
porn. I went to the porn store with a pervy old man. Yes, this is true.
You shouldn't
And this
do
is
that.
because, well, I ended up making him feel awkward anyway, because like, not because we were in the porn store, but because we go into the porn store and we're looking around and whatever, and then all of a sudden, I don't even know what triggered it, but I ended up giving an evangelical sermon about the story of Noah and the pirates from the Gospel of the Flying Spaghetti Monster. And I got really into it, and I was going like all over the place, and I was being really, really active with it. And then like the clerks who worked at the porn store were asking if I had a church and if they could like convert and come to my church or whatever.
That sounds great.
Because I was like, Friday's the holy day and we'll have spaghetti.
I have a story about a porn store.
Tell it!
I will. Okay, so I believe in my deconversion story I mentioned a friend who knew that I was gay shortly after high school, and she was a really good friend, and I was absolutely too embarrassed to walk into a porn store and buy a dildo for myself. Um, and this was before I met my ex-wife. It's just for reference. And she and I, we were just really, really close. And she went in there with the intention of buying it for me, while we were just pretending to just like kind of look around at other stuff. And she liked girls and I like guys, and we were just, until we came around to the dildo section, like, oh, well, let's look at this. Oh, well, let's look at this. And then suddenly dildos. Like, we were pretending to not be so obvious about looking at dildos for me. And
Suddenly Dildos sounds like a new sitcom.
it is a new sitcom.
She's a single woman in the city looking for love while maintaining a career. It's Suddenly Dildos.
So
ABC, coming to you soon.
we were looking at all of them. There was the rocket, which is like a 23-inch dildo that's 3 inches across or in diameter, and then another one.
What is it made for? Horses?
It's made for people who like that. I've seen somebody take it, just so you know it's possible.
Oh my!
And
Yeah,
they were.
I'm sure that's what they said. Not, oh Jesus, this is a mistake.
Yeah, and they were, let's sell it, and people buy it. So there were
Sell it.
there were little.
There was
ones.
confusion at the Chinese dildo store at the manufacturing plant.
This
What have you done, Wong? You make 23-inch dildo. How we sell it? Americans buy anything. Then I bet you they will buy it. Make it red, white, and blue. Call it a rocket.
Christ Almighty!
I don't think they're gonna buy it. Who can fit this in their rectum? Americans can put in. Have you seen that picture of the guy with the light bulb in his butt?
Oh. So we were looking at like this variety of ones with different colors and different sizes and different shapes, and I felt like obviously like a kid in a candy store. I was like, all right, so I got $100 burning a hole in my pocket, and what I really need is for something gigantic to stick in my ass. And we were just joking about this, standing there, and then finally I agreed on one that could actually stick to the wall of the shower. So yeah, so I could use it in the shower, and it had a little suction cup that you just go.
Aww.
Yeah, and it wasn't monstrously huge, but it was small. It wasn't small.
My shower really is happy to see me every morning.
I was like Goldilocks. This one's just right. And we went up to the counter, and the guy behind the counter looked at us both and said, "You're here for him, huh?" And I was like, "No, this." And he's like,
I'm buying a gift for my grandmother, sir.
Well, no, what was, and what he said was so obvious about it was the fact that why would she be in the store with a boyfriend or a guy friend buying a dildo for herself that was obviously larger than my own cock? Unless she was saying that I was inadequate, which makes too much sense. I mean, too much nonsense. It's a conundrum. So I was like, all right, fine.
Who gave her the link? We're talking about sex things and gigantic dildos. Now I feel uncomfortable.
I was going to say, Atticus, that sounds like my mother.
Well, anyway, I guess it was kind of a long-winded.
What was that, Zelda?
What was that?
You can blame Angus.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Angus. I was getting all hot and bothered over his story about the giant dildo that sticks to the wall.
Well, now I just can really tell if it's cold in the shower, if it's cold water in the shower when it droops.
Oh, that would be awesome if it was like a multi-tool, and you could like flick other tools out of it, so long as you remember to put it back before its intended use.
You know what? After I met my ex, I threw it away. It was a $50. No, you know what? She's so I don't know, masculine. She didn't need one.
Did she have an Adam's apple?
No. She is very delicately beautiful. She's very beautiful. I'll show
I
you.
don't think you're drinking enough Mountain Dew, Zelda.
But
Your
what
whole
I mean is,
all body disappeared behind that 2-liter jug.
I cleaned all the dishes in my house today, and I refuse to dirty another one. So,
Oh, okay.
yeah.
It's so good to see you, Zelda. I miss you so much.
I missed you too. And are we talking like about a Swiss Army knife dildo or something? Because
No,
I'm
I
really
am,
lost.
because I'm the one that thinks of the awesome things. They're just talking about relationship bullshit and 23-inch dildos that are made for elephants that he wanted to buy,
I did not want to buy
and
the
how
toy.
being at a porn store is like being at a candy store, which totally changes the beginning of Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory for me.
You know what I want to get? I want to get a strap on.
Well, you said this
I want to
before.
simulate. I want to simulate having a penis because I think that would be
Well,
gratifying.
Queenie, you can borrow mine because it's got like a suction cup on the back of it, and you can just suction it wherever you want.
That's what I was just talking about.
Yeah.
The one that I
picked
picked was made for, you just add a little oil to the back and you can use it in the shower. You can put it on the wall, and it was hangy and I don't know. Yeah. It was an
Yeah,
awesome
those are good.
dildo.
I have one of those. Those are good.
I'd hang my buff puff from it.
You'd have to hang it upside down because it was heavy enough to hang down.
If I
And
had
it was
a
rubbery.
suction cup dildo, I would just get like 3 or 4 and stick them to the wall and use them as coat racks.
There is actually, from the day that mine arrived in the mail, there is actually a circle mark on the top of my mirror because Chepo took it and stuck it to my mirror to see how long it would sit there. So there is, to this day, still like a suction cup circle thing on my mirror.
You don't use Windex in the house, do you?
Well, I do, but just not on the big-ass mirror in my bedroom. I didn't
The
really think-
implication is
memento.
that whatever was on the suction cup ain't coming off that mirror.
Oh my.
God.
More of I just don't bother to like deep clean my room because no one's ever in there.
This is the only atheist hangout where we don't talk about atheism.
Well, that's because this isn't an atheist hangout. This
I know.
is just a hangout. There is nothing more boring than watching a bunch of atheists stare at each other going, man, fundamentalists, am I right? I was like, yeah, that's all I've
you
been
just
hearing for the
need,
last
like,
5 years.
10 YouTube enemies just right there, Jason. There's some really, really, really pissed off anti-theists right now.
Well, look at it this way. If this is what they're tuning in for, this is not what I promised. So, you know, I just said we're chatting. We're not chatting about how dumb creationists are. That's what we do the rest of the time.
I wonder
This
if creationists use dildos.
Yes.
They do. Okay, well, that's the end of that.
They just don't use, like, colored ones. They have the plain, flesh-colored ones because that's the way God made dildos.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and on the 7th day, God made dildos.
Well, you had to rest somehow.
Because Eve was not satisfied.
Actually, that's what God had gift wrap when he came up and saw them eating from the tree of life. And he's like, oh, God damn it, you don't deserve these. And he threw it on the ground and kicked them out of the garden. I made up these dildos, they were going to be so awesome.
Zelda.
Zelda's got to get another 3-liter bottle of soda.
No, I have to go get the screaming child to go back to sleep.
Oh, okay.
Remember that
mine
one
is
thing I had
sound
that made my
asleep.
voice sound like Demi Moore?
Oh, did you re-listen to that? Do you agree
You
with me?
Yes,
did.
I
Oh
did.
my. Oh
But
my
remember
God!
that
Did
thing
you
that
sound
made my
like her?
voice do that? The 1-year-old has it now. So
Oh, no.
I'll be right back.
Okay.
Aw.
Oh.
Yeah, I
Zelda
didn't.
has a sexy voice.
I didn't even recognize it, and I mean, you said it, but then I was like, nah, I don't think so. And then when I listened to it, the next day, I was like, holy shit! And you were like, do you miss Bruce Willis?
Yeah.
You should have been like, how's Ashton Kutcher in bed? What's he
I'm like a dog with a bone. Once I get a joke in me, I just can't let it go.
Oh, it was awesome. It was awesome.
No, it was like being on the phone with Demi Moore.
She ought to come in and do that as a character.
Well, she has to get sick in order for her voice to do that, so I'm not gonna.
No, but I think she can do it if she just sort of.
So let's send her a disease through the mail.
Here's a box of what makes your throat scratchy. Never mind, I'm not funny.
What makes your throat scratchy? What you do is you use way too much saliva securing the envelope and the stamp. Oh wait, stamps are self-adhesive. But you intercept her contact lens thing and you lick the contact lenses. That's how you get most of your flus come in through your eyes, because you get the flu on your hands and then you rub your eye. You rub your eye like twice every 2 seconds or something like that. So then the flu bacteria gets in. That's why sometimes you get a sty, because it stays up there. Yeah, see, look, he's gone mad. He's gone mad with the eye rubbing.
Oh dear. We need to ask Zelda about selling her kids to Nickelback, apparently.
Okay, the word you said was either kids or tits. Which one was it?
Wait. What
Okay.
about Nickelback? Because Nickelback is awful and all the members should die.
All the members should die.
No, they are. That is not even a band. It should.
I don't even think I've ever heard a single one of their songs.
It's another one of those singers that does the burr with the back of their throat.
Is that the song? And now Nickelback with their number one hit,
Exactly.
Burr de Burr.
I shit you not, Jason. That is exactly what it is. It's some guy going.
So the Swedish chef sings their songs. Yergy-berg, Yergy-bergy derg.
No, it's exactly that.
Are you talking about the guy who reaches way too down deep to sound soulful?
Think of the guy from Creed multiplied by 1,000, and then
Mega Creed.
Mega Creed, exactly. And think about the most awful lyrics ever. And
most awful lyrics ever. Let's see.
And
I used a lizard as a dildo.
Yep.
Nerd.
That reminds me of a tweet. Like I think
That's what you get for leaving to take care of your child, Zelda. Just lizard dildos. You're all gonna pay.
Well, it's like I was thinking, okay, Scott Stapp's voice times a million with the worst lyrics ever. So like Creed, but with a worse Scott Stapp, because those are really pretty bad lyrics to begin with.
No. Do you want me to read some lyrics? I'll get some lyrics, and you guys
Please
will
don't.
vomit. You'll vomit in.
I don't. I've lived this long without ever having heard Nickelback.
I'm gonna bring it to you. I'm bringing it to you.
You do that, it's war, buddy. I'm done.
What is he bringing? What is this?
He's
Zelda.
threatening to read Nickelback lyrics. We're gonna have negative views in a second.
How do you have negative?
Negative
People go back in time and erase them having ever existed because you read Nickelback lyrics.
Okay, no. Come on, this is fun.
Okay, you do that. I'll go get Fall Out Boy lyrics.
No.
I've never heard one of their songs either.
No. Okay, one.
Okay,
song
I just
by
kind of
them
got
is
excited
okay.
about Fall Out Boy lyrics because I'm
Oh, did
adorable.
you? Oh, okay.
One song by them is pretty good. The one about the guy following the girl around and being
No,
a
sorry,
stalker.
there's no such thing as a good Fall Out Boy song.
All right. Well, I'll amplify this by here. Listen to the lyrics.
Can I say this real quick?
Shut up. That's what you're gonna say.
No. Angus is starting to look like a Meister from the Game of Thrones. Only one person got that.
That show was recommended to me by a person at work, and I was like, "Why should I watch that?" And they went, "Well, there's full frontal male nudity."
On occasion.
Yeah, and I was like, "Okay." And then when I
You're
watched
like,
it,
I'm sold.
so yeah, why not?
You're expecting Dick Fest.
Yeah. Well, there are some cocks and some nice cocks in it, but I was just like, okay. And
I only remember one, and that was from the giant retard. That's right, I said that word. The giant Hodor. You see Hodor's gigantic penis.
Yeah, Angus is kind of recreating the Hodor beard. I only know who that is because of the stupid quizzes that people post up on Facebook that they've taken.
yeah.
I have never watched an episode of Game of Thrones. I
I'm addicted to the
drive
show.
to do it.
There's a couple dicks in it. Maybe you should check it
I
out.
watched the first episode, but then it was too much.
If I want to see dicks, all I really have to do is go to Google, type in dicks, and I will have plenty. I don't have to watch the show for that.
I don't even go to Google anymore. I just put in Dick's Tumblr into Google,
Oh,
and then
God. You
Well,
realize
see, in the days of
Yeah,
Yahoo
Tumblr.
Chat, I wouldn't have even had to do that. I would have just logged on to Yahoo Chat
No,
with
but
a
you know
feminine
why?
username
The thing
and would
is,
have been bombarded by dicks.
Tumblr will give me nothing but.
By the way, that's a great album name,
I
Bombarded
had
by
a-
Dicks.
No, but
I
the
had
thing
a
is,
So-
Tumblr will only give me dicks. If you just put dicks into Google, it'll give you Richard this, Richard that, some dicks, penises,
You
some
have
stuff.
to turn safe search off.
Okay,
you
but
little-
if I put in dicks Tumblr, I will get nothing but dicks, and it's dicks, actual cocks.
I had a
Okay.
friend who used to spam me with like these pornographic images, and it was always the weirdest shit. Like one of them was like somebody with a Coke can shoved up their ass.
One man, one
Okay,
job.
was that my husband, Queenie? Is he the one that did that? Because that sounds like.
No, it was a friend I had. I used to be really close to this gay guy on Skype, and I even went to his house and visited him at one point. And he would always send me these pictures of like weird sexual shit, like the Coke can up his ass, and not his ass, but somebody else's ass. He
Was
would
it
go on
full?
Tumblr and find all this shit.
Was it full so it didn't get crushed in his asshole?
I'm guessing it was unopened,
No, okay,
but
that's
it was
what
like
I
was-
all up.
it was-
It was all up in the movie. This was
Thank
years
you
ago,
for
but
that
to this
explanation,
day
by
I
the way,
remember.
because in my head right now is just Coke can in ass. That's all I'm
I
seeing.
would've poke on, and then while it's in the ass, you open it so it squirts out. No, okay. You guys want me to read some?
Making it worse.
No, we don't want you to read some lyrics, and it's kind of strange that you have them on hand.
No, I just used my
You just
phone.
pulled them from your stocking
pulled them
file.
I pulled them from Google.
They're labeled reason 239 to kill Nickelback.
Okay, I want to depress everybody for about a minute, please.
Oh.
You want to impress people? Then play what I've just unleashed in the chat.
Yeah, I don't know how to get the chat up on my screen, so I don't know what people are saying.
Left-hand side?
No, there isn't a chat. You have comments.
Oh, okay.
No,
But
the
I don't know
left-hand
how to get to
side.
that either.
Hang it,
Can
what-
somebody link me to the channel where this is like being broadcast? So
It's
I can
on Jason's channel.
Yeah, it's on my channel.
Oh, okay.
So remember how to spell it. It's alphabet clusterfuck. And,
I'll figure it out somehow. I'll get
I
there.
still don't get the P. That's the only
oh,
thing.
well, you have to pee or you'll die of uric poisoning.
No. The P in Jason with a D.
The P is silent. It's a P that sounds like an S, like in words like psychiatry, psychology.
Oh,
like that.
so it's not needed.
None of the things in there are needed.
All right, never mind about fucking terrible stuff.
Wow, our viewers just went up by 50.
It's because they want to hear Nickelback lyrics.
Well, they don't. Oh, now they're gone.
And that's not true.
If you keep threatening them with the N-word, we're going to keep losing people.
The N-word is now Nickelback. We should make that a thing. Say the N-word and say, "Shh, guys, we mean Nickelback."
We have to explain all of our terminology.
I've been up, I've been
Shit,
down.
Nickelback, what you been up to? Jabbing?
You're still reading them. You're still reading them to yourself now.
No, that's from memory because it's so bad.
It's from memory. You hate them so much you memorize them.
on
What
the
fucking song are you
radio,
talking about?
no.
What song is it?
You don't understand. The radio station in my area played that like it was the fucking shit, and I'd have to turn off the fucking radio and go, okay, are they going to play something new? Okay, I'll listen to Led Zeppelin. Then all of a sudden they were like, now listen to this song by Nickelback, and I'm like, fuck, and then turn it back down.
Is
And
it
then,
the one that goes the way you remind me? Is it Hollywood? Is it...
no, it's, This Is How You Remind Me.
That's
Oh,
this is
fuck, that's old. I actually had that CD way back when.
Why? Oh, so...
Because I was like 12.
Oh my gosh.
Wait, how old
I
are
might
you,
be
Zelda?
13 or 14. Fuck.
She's like 13 now, dude.
Oh, and here I am talking about dildos with a 13-year-old. See you guys later. I'm going to be in jail.
That knock on the door is Chris Hansen.
Why don't you have a seat right over there? Right over there.
Would you like a cookie?
We're now watching
Well,
Google
I was
Hangouts.
Maybe 13 or 14 when Nickelback started getting big. And I'm pretty sure I had at least one of their albums.
Oh yeah.
How we
This,
got this, like, on
I'm gonna
video.
read the lyrics and torture everyone.
Fine, do it. Just do it.
Okay.
Do it. Do it.
Okay.
Make it hurt good.
Okay. Never made it as a wise man. I couldn't cut it as a poor man stealing. Never.
Wait, you're killing. Wait, stop! You're killing Monkey Tail.
Tired of living like a blind man. I'm sick of sight
There
without
goes
sense
Zelda.
of
Fine,
feeling.
this is where you murder us all. Is that
Okay,
it?
well, my heart is actually skipping beats because it wants to die. In my chest, it wants to die.
Dude, okay, I'm gonna take this wrench, put your balls between it, and just tighten it.
Oh
That's
yeah.
what's gonna happen if you're reading.
I'm going to let you know when to start, but don't until after I say so.
Okay.
Go ahead and start. I'm going to mute my microphone.
Okay. This is how you remind me. This is how you remind me of what I really am. This is how you remind me Jason is dead. This is how you remind me of what I really am. This is now his epitaph on his on his gravestone. Okay. It's not like you to say sorry. I was waiting for a different story. Which doesn't even fucking rhyme. Come on, man. This time I'm mistaken for handling you with a heart for handing you a heart worth breaking. I've been wrong. I've been down. Been to the bottom of every bottle. I can't even read these lyrics. I'm gonna die.
If I shoot you in my camera, will you die?
I don't have anything.
Is that
to
how
offer
the
you.
internet
That's all
works?
I'm at.
All right, I'm done. I'm done. Did we lose
The thing is,
viewership?
my thing of the reading of the lyrics is it was completely useless. Because for me, I already know all the lyrics to that song. It's just,
Oh, I'm
it
Sing
will
it,
always
Zelda.
be in my head. It's something I can't get out of there
You
because
should
they're
just
so
sung
bad.
it. It should be, never made it as a blind man. Never made it.
On a house, half eaten on a pound of bacon.
So, is the lead singer of this band like 80 years old? All of you make him sound like he's an old man.
No,
Okay.
he's like
Chad Kroeger is not 80 years old. He was hot when I
No,
was
he's
like
mean.
14, and I think he's married to Avril Lavigne now.
Oh no! Why?
Okay, I think Monkey Tail is having some sort of fit or something.
Okay,
And I think Monkey Tail's just finally showing his age.
Madam Tail,
He's
you're gonna have to resuscitate him.
Okay, you've used up my patience, sir.
Okay, I'm done.
And I will make you punished.
Now I'm gonna
Yeah,
sing it.
thanks
now
a
I'm gonna-
lot, because then I have to share in the punishment.
And now I'm going to sing a song by Creed, and then I'm going to sing a song by.
This is the worst cruise ship
Is
lounge
this like
ever.
Is this like Atticus's recital night? Like,
no,
I
I'm
guess so.
torturing-
It's
I'm
like he's
torturing my
5.
back.
And then I'm going to sing My Little Teapot, and then I'm going to sing Nickelback song, and then I'm going to sing Mary Had a Little Lamb, and then I'm going to sing a Creed song.
Sing Pearl Jam after.
Wake up, Grandma. What? And sing Pearl Jam.
Well, actually, no. I got to give that one up though. They did make their first album, the 10. I really enjoyed, and then afterwards, I was like, "Fuck you guys." Seriously,
Okay.
I gave up on grunge when Kurt Cobain killed himself.
And
That
how
was
old were
actually-
you?
I was
The thing is,
13.
I can see giving up on grunge because as much as I
Everyone did.
listen to it and I grew up listening to it, I will be the first to admit that grunge, it kind of sucks. It like left everybody so depressed that the popular music went from grunge to boy bands.
Yeah,
Oh.
there was a
Right.
reaction against it.
Yeah. So I can kind of see giving up on grunge, but giving up on grunge because Kurt Cobain died, that's kind of lame.
No,
Well, grunge was a
really
reaction
into
to
it.
MTV. Grunge was a reaction to, what was the feeling at the time was very commercialized, prepackaged music that was being trotted out.
And then it became popular, though.
And then it became popular, and then it became prepackaged.
Yeah.
And then the reaction against it became, it became a lot of boy bands, actually, a ton of them.
See, I was like, in the 90s music that I still listen to is stuff like the Spin Doctors.
have you
Yeah,
ever
that was-
heard of?
It was pretty good.
Have you ever heard of baby metal?
No.
I have.
It's
It's
like
from Japan.
yes, it's
Yeah, I've
like a
heard
mix
that.
of J-pop and death metal.
We watched
And
a video.
I
We
watched
watched
this.
one, didn't we?
I watched one where they were singing this song about how they wanted chocolate. And like they do the bouncy, bouncy bits, and then they do the death metal chocolate. And
Well,
it was
I want
really
part
weird.
country rap. And I'm not talking about country songs that have guest rappers. Oh no, I'm talking about country singers that try to rap.
Oh,
Name one.
That's not real.
Try look at
Oh,
the Train Bandits. Get loose.
Cowboy Troy.
Hmm?
There was a country duo a while back called Big and Rich, and one of the little side projects was a guy named Cowboy Troy, and he did rapping country.
Oh, there's so much music. I'm so glad I missed.
Yeah.
I am very limited.
Yet.
I don't know, Lucy. Why don't you check
I
your
can't-
rollers?
I can't take the curlers out until it's dry. Unless I spray it with like hairspray. I
Have
guess.
Tink feel it and see.
Well,
Uh-oh.
it's
She
wet.
froze.
It's like who froze?
No, you
You
did for a
froze.
second.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, keep going. You're fine.
You're fine.
Oh,
We can
well,
see you.
I think if it's still wet, it's like imperceptibly wet to the touch or whatever. So I
This
think what
show
I'm
is just
gonna
switching gears at the
do
drop of a
is
hat. It's like we went directly from
because I'm talking
from
about my
complaining about music straight to now it's hairstyling tips with schizophrenic
Well,
queers.
what are you doing with your hair, Queenie?
I'm trying to get it to curl up in such a way as I can simulate an afro
That's
How long
nearly
have you had those
impossible.
in?
Sweet.
for I don't know an hour.
It's gonna take longer.
You need to put crazy glue on them.
Well, they're not heated or anything.
Yeah, I know, but if your hair was wet when you put them in, it's gonna take longer for them to dry than an hour.
Okay.
You can either blow dry it, or like when I used to do those, I would sleep in them, and the next morning they're usually good.
Ooh, put one of those curler baggies on your head.
I don't have one.
Oh.
I'm so sorry.
Make Tink go out and buy you one.
We lost Monkey Tail.
Where did he go?
I don't know. Maybe we bored him away with my hair.
I think the girl talk scared him away.
It's like, oh, Zelda, tell me more.
Either that or he's putting curlers into his beard.
Oh,
That would
please
be
don't be doing that.
I want to see that now. We need to get him curlers for his beard.
So he'll look perfect when he comes to visit you, Zelda.
I know, right? If
And
he
then
comes
I've got to
to visit
visit
me,
Zelda
I will put
too.
curlers in his beard myself. I will do this for you. I have no idea why I'm still playing with this fucking wrench.
Why do you
Pixar, it
put
didn't
it on?
happen.
Because I have like this. Okay. Like
Ah!
this like thing with all notebooks and crap in it.
Yeah.
And I take whatever's on the desk and wind up throwing it in here. So there's like lighters and hair things, and apparently a wrench is.
That's not how you fix a computer.
I throw mine against the wall.
I probably got out like my toolkit or something and was digging through it and wound up getting this out, and then the kids got it. And
It's what she uses to kill drifters.
no, that's the gun. I used
Was
the
that
gun.
the, wait, was
She's
that
like,
the body
yeah,
we
you want a
buried in
hot
the
meal? You want to come inside? And then you
Do
and
you
your
like
husband
arsenic and old
actually
lace?
install them and then bury them in the backyard.
Do you like
I'm going
arsenic
back
and
to
old
dark.
lace and have the rooms for rent? And if they're homeless and don't have any family, I kill them out of pity.
Out of pity.
Have you never seen arsenic and old lace?
Yes.
Yeah, that's why they do it. They kill them out of pity.
Yeah, I know. And money, don't they? Don't they get money from it too?
No, they
It's
just
just
they
pity.
feel
Oh, that's
bad.
right, because they are completely crazy.
Yeah, it's like they
Yeah.
see it as doing a public service. They just kill these homeless drifters because they're so sad and lonely. So they just kill them so they don't have to
I
be
thought
sad
they
and
were
lonely.
I thought they were widowers.
No.
They're
It's
killing
like two
homeless
old
people.
spinsters.
God.
Oh no, my view of that movie has changed completely because now they're killing homeless people. I thought they
Yeah.
were just killing people who were sad because their spouse had died.
No, it's anyone who like doesn't have any family or doesn't have a home or anything like that. They'll kill them.
Wow.
Well,
Okay.
They give them the elderberry wine laced with arsenic, strychnine, and cyanide, I think.
yeah. Which, by the way, the person poisoned would scream in pain and grab their stomach as blood and foam came out of their mouth. But in the play, they just kind of peacefully died.
Yeah.
Don't ask me how
Well,
I know that.
don't they even have a line where they say one of them had the time to comment how nice it tasted before he died?
Ugh.
It's factually inaccurate.
I'm really kind of concerned. Where did he go?
I don't know. Well, doesn't he take
I'll
care
get
of
on
his
Facebook
nephews
and harass him.
on the weekend?
Doesn't he take care of his meth use?
Good nephew or nephews, whatever.
That's when he self-medicates on meth? Is that what you
Yes.
mean?
It's his math. Yes, that's exactly
Did you say meth use or nephews?
his meth use.
It would explain a lot.
It would.
See, since he's off completely, we can say anything we want about him.
I know. I'm trying to get him on Facebook, and he's not saying anything. Although, by the way, meth use would totally account for how fucked up his teeth are. Just saying.
What are you talking about? Oh, that's a bridge, isn't it?
Yeah, those are fake teeth.
Why does he have a bridge?
They look good.
I think he says like a tooth got punched out or something, but he was missing teeth up front. And,
That's
got
what
a
all
bridge.
Scotsmen say as a badge of honor. I had a tooth that was punched out. And now we can all do bad Scottish accents.
Yeah, we can all do that.
And
do
who
it
lives in a
like
pineapple
effect-
under the sea?
That's a pirate accent!
Yeah, but it's Scottish too.
No, it's
I was
not!
Dude,
I was gonna do an IQ, but
go
you
back to your like Jersey guy. It's like Jersey alcoholic guy that you do. Just go to that
you mean
voice.
the guy who lives
Pretend it's Scottish,
downstairs
It's okay.
and,
Yeah,
and
wait,
tells
he
his
has- you know
daughter to leave the fucking fairies alone.
No, that's... Mabel! I don't care about the fairies. What I care about is my empty stomach. Where's my goddamn dinner?
Oh, I see spaghetti and meatballs again. Thanks.
For the record, next time you go off like listing old lady names, somebody needs to work in Enid. I do not
Enid?
hear that name enough, and it makes me sad.
Enid, Marjorie,
Gladys.
Beulah.
Beulah. Beulah's good.
Bertha.
Bertha is the name of my giant dildo.
My grandmother.
You name your dildo. I should have done that.
I
Maybe wouldn't have
need
given it
more
away.
sex toys if I'm like, cause I don't get to name anything because I
No,
don't have
I'm gonna
giant
go buy a
dildos or
sex
anything.
toy. I don't have
I-
one.
I just want to go out and buy a sex toy now just so I can name it.
You should sew one.
Make like a giant flesh penis.
Yeah, and you can show it to everyone on a video. Look what I made.
I made a
Yeah, but the thing is, you
I've
wouldn't be able to use it if it was a plush toy.
Oh my god.
She would if she
just
made
had
it
the
out of
worst possible
pleather.
idea. I just had the worst possible idea for the giant penis pillow. Make it
Giant.
uncircumcised, and you can just like pull a layer back, and it's like a different fabric on the inside.
Blah! Blah!
It's a puppet. It's a dick puppet.
No, it's not. It's just a big penis with a foldable backable foreskin.
Oh, you got to make a dick puppet.
No, I don't gotta do anything, Captain Bad Ideas.
I've still got to make a finite Atticus Muppet to go with my
It's
Armored
okay.
Skeptics Muppet. No, like
You know what? You might not have to. I've been thinking about showing my face.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I,
I mean,
wanna
I want.
make
Well, if you do it, I'll make it my icon for a while. I've used that icon for about a year now, and I think I'll change it to whatever you make. But I am thinking about showing my face. I don't know.
I don't know. I just like the whole gas mask thing. It's just like, I have to think of how I can break the shapes down in my head to like how I would put them together as a project.
Just buy a little tiny gas mask for babies. And then just sew that on. Just
That
get
exists.
it by. little Tyke's play school gas mask, and you just hot glue that onto a regular doll.
Well, you've seen this Muppet, haven't you, Jason?
Yes.
I've got it right here on my sewing machine. It looks kind of inappropriate because I've got like the Armor Skeptic's Muppet just kind of sitting on my sewing machine, like I will make love to this sewing machine.
He is bent in a very strange position, kind of like
got a booty.
any takers, anybody, anyone
That's-
at all. I don't care. Just come on and mount
trying to-
I
me.
want a Zelda Smuppet.
I will have to figure out how to do that because, like, as far as I can tell, I
You
don't know
squeeze
where
its belly and smoke comes out of her mouth, and she's got a cigarette that lights up. And she says, "Darling, darling."
Darling.
Where'd you go, man?
Where were you?
He was taking a giant shit.
All that talk about Nickelback killed my computer. I had to fight with the BIOS and everything.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. Let's test this again to see if his hypothesis is true. Nickelback, Nickelback, Nickelback.
If you do that, they show up in your house, dude.
I know.
I hope you weren't doing that in
I'm
front
just
of a
thinking
mirror.
it's like,
I'm gonna go in
wait,
the
no,
bathroom.
no, no. He has to go in the bathroom. What was the thing for Bloody Mary? You had to say her
Turn
name.
off the
3
light. You
times,
go in the
press
bathroom.
on
You
off.
turn off the light and close your eyes.
See, I thought. Okay, fun time story. The variation that my brothers heard was that not only did you have to say her name and do the light switch, you had to flush the toilet 3 times.
Okay,
So
hold
my
on.
mom takes my older brother into the bathroom to show him that Bloody Mary doesn't exist, and she does the whole ritual, and she flushes the toilet. Apparently, my other brother was up in the upstairs bathroom taking a shower. So on the 3rd toilet flush, you just hear this blood-curdling scream come from the upstairs,
Oh no.
and yeah, it didn't work to disprove Bloody Mary.
You see, the flushing thing, yeah, that was over here as well, but I always find it funny that over in America the Bloody Mary thing took off because it's about the Mary the First of England.
Yeah, but we don't care. It's just some spooky shit that you do to little kids.
Yeah, I remember doing Candyman at like my friend's slumber parties growing up, which is essentially the same fucking thing as
It
Bloody
is
Mary.
the
You just
same,
say
it's the
Candyman.
same thing. When I went to camp, we used to tell the story about a guy whose plane crashed up in the mountain, and he had to saw his own leg off, and he went crazy, and that he would routinely come to camp and kill kids. And then what we do is, after telling, because everything, all the cabins were broken up by age, we tell it to the younger cabins, and then one of us would come hobbling up to the cabin, hopping on one leg with a stick, because part of the myth was he shoved a stick in his leg. And you just wander around the cabin and you hear these little kids scream and pee themselves.
You are a horrible person.
I have.
I was 10. What did you want? It was hilarious.
Have you guys ever done light as a feather, stiff as a board when you were kids?
No, that's a girl
Yeah, you-
thing.
Yes, that was
All right, well,
awesome.
Okay, so I went to Jesus camp for several years when I was younger, and one of the counselors, the counselors had left our cabin for a little while, and we were like, "Hey, you guys want to do levitation?" Yeah, here come. No. We were like, "Hey, you guys want to do levitation?" And you know how if you have 6 guys surrounding one guy, you can easily lift them with a
Does
finger.
this end
It's
with
not-
someone getting a hand job?
No. It ends with
Okay.
us doing it, and then a pastor walking in and giving us a long ass motherfucking lecture about bringing the devil into Jesus camp. And he was like, "You guys did some."
You should have done this.
Yeah.
It's too late, Father! And then you should have chased him.
No, it wasn't Catholic, but okay.
Oh.
No, it was. He came in and he saw us doing it, and he said, "Put him down," and then he said, "Sit on your beds. I want to tell you about the devil.
It's in my penis.
He's real." No, it wasn't like that ever there. He was like, he's real, and he can come into you, and he can tell you what to
I
do,
bet he can. Ugh.
and he can make you do things. And I want you all to know that what you just did was bring the devil into this place because you were all making him levitate. He was here. I saw him, and I distinctly remember him like curling his mustache while he was saying it. It was just so maniacal and crazy because he really believed what he was saying.
My
And
question is, what grown-ass adult does not understand how that game works?
oh
How the
no,
distribution of weight works?
a Christian.
Ah,
Remember,
But
Ouija boards, which are mass-produced in a factory by Mattel, are tools of Satan.
oh no, I got that lecture. I got the lecture about the Ouija boards because I was, as we learned on the fairy episode of A Very Public Spanking, I was one of those dorky little girls that believed in fairies and magic and all that crap. So I'd gotten the lectures about the Ouija boards. I had one and it got burned.
Oh,
I
I
had a
used to be
little-
terrified of Ouija boards. I'm sorry. Go ahead, SQ.
Oh, I had a little giant encyclopedia of magic in high school, and I let some dickwad borrow it, and he said something like, "Oh, my friend who's a Christian burned it," and I was like, "Well, gee, thanks for burning this book. I just spent like so much money at I think it was like Spencer's or some shit, or one of those like high-end merchandise stores." Like, geez, I just spent my money on this book, and then you're gonna burn it. Thank you so much.
You should have hexed him.
I should have. That
See,
would
I
have
remember
taught him.
the teachers at my school, like they knew I had tarot cards, and there were some of them that would actually get me to come to their classrooms and do like tarot readings after school was out. And then there were others that told the students in their class not to talk to me because I did that.
Oh wow, that's.
I was in a
fucking
weird area.
I like tarot cards.
I used to be terrified of Ouija boards.
I'll get it out now. The last thing I heard was Jason asked me to name a country rapper, singers that do rap.
Mm-hmm. I didn't mean it. You didn't have to do that.
Moonshine Bandit.
And he does it anyway.
Go watch Moonshine
Moonshine
Bandit.
Bandit.
Loose.
I want polka rappers.
What? How does that work?
I don't know. Give me a minute.
I know opera rappers.
What?
Opera rap.
That'll work.
That
See?
will work.
It's called Aristocrunk, and the people that do it are Lord T and Eloise.
You know our nation is imploding culturally and fiscally and financially. This is just a sign of those times.
What was it called again, Zelda?
What?
What was it called again?
The rappers?
Yeah. No,
World-ending.
The art form. The art form.
The art form is Aristocrunk.
Aristocrunk. That sounds like something Gilbert Gottfried would make a joke about.
If anyone should feel the need to look them up, anyone watching this, the best one is called Penthouse Suite. All the other ones suck. That's the only good one.
Aristocrat.
He's doing it right now.
I will. I'll ask my phone.
I have
I'll
released.
ask
this
my
to-
phone.
That's really how it is. We just ask our phone shit. We're like, well, what disease do I have? And then it tells you.
What disease do I have, phone? Why do I keep doing the show on Saturdays? It's not good for my brain parts.
Oh, okay. It tells me alcohol.
Siri's like, because you have low self-esteem.
Aww.
I'm going to show you my phone. You see
better-
that? You see that? This is my phone. It's a flip phone.
You're
It's
badass. That's
Yeah,
awesome. Retro.
I'm never getting a smartphone until this little thing, which I have dropped down 2 flights of stairs, dies. I'm not. And you know why I keep it? Because it's like a Star Trek communicator. That's the only reason
'Cause
why.
it flips open. You nerd.
I literally do that. I go,
I
"Here."
should have kept my flip phone. Like, I ended up upgrading, and I was like, afterwards, I was like, why did I have to go for the fancy new phone? I'm
No,
such a
I
snob.
love my smartphone. It tells me it loves me.
You know why I'm happy to have a new smartphone instead of my flip phone that I had up until a few weeks ago? Or maybe a month or so ago?
Mm-hmm.
Because I can have cases.
Well, that's nice.
I can have little Pokemon cases, and that makes me happy.
Look me. I like mine because it tells me how to get to my appointments. Like if there's this place nearby I had to go to for an appointment, but I didn't know where the fuck it was. But I just punch it into my maps thing, and the map is all like, go here, go over here.
You know
do
what?
this,
Tell me
blah,
where I'm supposed to be, and then it's like, oh, we
If
know where.
Earth ever gets with a massive solar flare, I'm going to be king because no one knows how to do anything without their smartphones anymore. I'm like, what do I do? I don't know how to go any places. I don't know if I'm well. And they're all just going to be screaming into these dead phones in their hands going, where's the food place for my not to die?
Retards.
Well, no, it's not. It's like I remember a time when no one had phones, period.
Yeah, I remember that.
What? You're older in the 30s?
Yeah,
I
back
remember
in the
phones
1930s
you
when
had
I was
to-
doing a ragtime jig where I was
Bashing phones, they won't take off.
You had to crank it, and then an operator came in. And you were like,
someone
"Number
wheeled in the
5,
phone. It came in on the back of a flatbed truck. 5 guys grabbed a crank and tried to get it powered up. Oh, yay! That's the ticket.
My grandmother used to actually run a switchboard. That's what she
Really?
did for, I believe, I think about a decade, but yeah. So it was like you would crank the phone. It's like, operator, I need 523, because they only needed 3 numbers for anyone in the area.
Well,
And you're like,
I work in the telecommunications industry, and I'm always getting phone calls and vice presidents of this extraordinarily large telecommunications industry going, it's a little embarrassing that you have a flip phone considering the products that we're pushing currently. And I was like, I don't care, fuck you, I'm union. But that's...
My grandmother.
Oh, someone's... Okay.
That didn't sound sexy. What are you guys talking about?
Who?
I
What?
think you sound
That was my
sad.
voice that came through. I was
Yeah,
like,
you're like, oh, I'm turned on by my own voice.
sometimes. I said I throw on my deconversion series and then whip out my dick, and I'm like, yeah.
Oh, I wish I could not recognize my own voice so I could speak lovingly to... I'd be my own boyfriend.
I will make love to myself.
I'd tie a rubber band around my hand so it'd lose feeling, so it would feel like someone else while I masturbate.
I've done that.
Oh.
What's the
I
big
feel-
deal? I mean,
What?
like, why
What-
would you even bother doing that? Is my question.
Because it
Because
feels
men
like someone
are
else is
inherently
doing it.
broken. We are
Well, but-
broken, damaged creatures who
No,
will
she wants-
fuck
actually-
I'm just
anything.
saying, like,
you
I
watch
couldn't
the last
do that
video?
because there's certain things that I have to be able to do with my hand to make the whole masturbation process work. So I guess you guys have it really easy, where all you have to do is like,
Yeah.
Yeah, if you
Can
can
you-
still if you can't make the hand gesture to grab your shaft, you've gone too far. If it's blue or black, maybe. I have to say that because remember, every time you hear about an auto asphyxiation death, like man found hanging in closet because he was masturbated while choking himself, it's always a dude. It's never a woman. It's never a woman going, I think I'll
It's
strangle
gotta-
myself
that's
while
the
I
thing, though.
masturbate.
It takes about 9 minutes for a woman to reach orgasm on.
You know what?
on
That's
YouTube.
true. They'd die if they didn't.
So they would,
Wait,
you know,
what?
for us, it's like, well, that's on average. So if I'm wrong, you can slap me through the computer. It's fine. But on average, it's supposed to be 9 minutes for a woman to reach orgasm. It takes 2 for a guy to do it. So he can
Wait. Via masturbation or sex?
either one, I think.
If it
Wait,
takes a woman 9 minutes, then she doesn't know what she's doing.
Oh, she's.
I
well,
just
she's-
need the right kind of porn.
Yeah, me. If I have the right kind of
Exactly.
porn, it's like less. It's
2
less
minutes
than a
max,
minute.
Right kind of porn.
it's less, he doesn't even get it out. He's like, oh!
It's like, it's everywhere.
I heard my voice again.
No, but didn't you guys watch Queenie's last video? She was talking about how she wanted a dick.
Yeah, it was dick,
I
dick,
would-
dickity, dick, dick.
I would actually love to have a dick. Like sometimes I think about it and I'm like, what if I'm secretly a guy? And so I asked
Okay,
Tinky,
I need to ask
Tinky,
you.
would you still love me
Do
if
you
I
only want the penis and the testicles, or just the penis?
I don't know.
Because, sweetie, you haven't lived until you've reached the age where you accidentally sit down on your own goddamn balls. That's awesome. And by the way, fathers need to tell their sons that someday, after you turn
Your
40,
balls will hang to
you're going to accidentally sit on your balls and then
why
fall
you-
onto the floor
That's why the men
and
have.
throw up a little bit and then cry because your son's watching you.
Well, the thing is, guys have the crotch-supporting underwear.
No, we don't always wear it. We don't wear it all the time.
Well, that's your fault for not wearing it. You
Oh,
have the
so now we
crotch-supporting
have to
underwear.
We have to
born
secure
with
it with
that.
duct tape now. It's like,
Yeah,
No. You get better quality. You get better quality underwear, and you squatter the shit out of it, you bastard.
We carry it in the front.
I got to worry about that. You know, my balls stitched to me now, so.
have stretched to your legs. I'm sorry, but you can wear. I've worn tighty whities my whole life. It does nothing to keep because the idea was if you wear them, then they won't hang down to your ankles when you're an old man. That was the idea. That doesn't fucking work. They spread. They go the other direction, and then you're like, oh, I'm going to sit down and, why? Why? And then you call your father and you cuss him out because he didn't warn you. And then when you tell him, he laughs at you. What?
I haven't called my dad about that one yet. I called him about.
Have you done it? Has that happened to you?
I have sat on my balls.
Isn't it fun? Isn't that the awesomest thing?
It's what the mother fuck. Why did that happen? I am wearing tighty whities.
I'm wearing tighty whities. Why is this occurring?
Yeah, no. I wear boxer briefs now because of it, in the hopes that it will tighten it up around the thighs and keep my balls together. You know, in that little tuck up, you know, right in that
I
little.
know way too much about all of your ball sacks now.
Well, now you know it's not all.
Even my ball
It's all not
sack.
tickle and grins when it comes to ball sacks. It's a bunch of. They're just there all the time. Here's what it's like. Picture the most disgusting thing on your body getting sweaty, just gross and
Sticking to
sticking
your
to
thigh.
everything. It's sticks to your taint,
Okay,
sticks to your leg.
Women have a comparison to this. We really do.
Okay,
Our
go.
boobs,
You
when
sit
we're
on your
pregnant-
curtain.
No, I've seen plenty of sweaty boobs, and they've always looked fantastic.
When we're
Imagine the
pregnant,
wrinkliest. It's
all the stuff.
It's the shittiest skin. If God exists, he said, "Oh, look at this shitty skin. What am I gonna do with it? It's so disgusting. Oh, yeah, I'll just and stick it right in there. It's
No,
so
seriously,
gross."
like, when you're pregnant, your boobs stay permanently on your stomach. The best feeling in the world is to just like lift them so they're not touching
Yeah, but
for like
you know
2
what?
seconds.
When a guy sees a girl's pregnant boobs, he's like, yeah, because they're usually twice as big. So we don't even notice that you're in any pain. We're like, holy
That
shit.
kind of grosses me out, dude. I can't. I mean, don't. No, pregnant women are beautiful, but I'm always afraid that when they're pregnant, that those things are like gonna go off. If you do anything with them, they're just like gonna. No, I don't want that. That's not for me.
Porn ever when someone grabs a boob and milk comes out. That's the worst thing in porn.
Yeah, because it betrays your animalness.
No, yeah,
Right.
and it hurts. It hurts to have your breast grabbed, doesn't it?
Yes.
I mean, it's like, yeah, they're like, get the fuck out of here. Don't. That's attached to me.
Oh, Zelda, did you know about my internal debate that triggered this topic, apparently?
What?
No.
Who?
I was torn between wanting a penis and wanting a baby. And I have settled on, I suppose, neither.
I would like to have a vagina and a penis to play that fully
That would
functional.
be pretty freaking
So
Yeah,
I
but
can-
there we'd never see you again, Atticus. You'd never resurface.
I'd be constantly
Except as a
impregnating myself,
Except as a news story on TMZ.
like that guy with 2 dicks.
Like the guy with 2 dicks is dating a woman with 2 vaginas.
Is he really?
No.
She doesn't have 2 external openings, but inside, when you open it up, there's 2 distinct, going to 2 complete sets of.
I would not want 2 dicks. Never, never, never.
Okay,
on
just
you.
picturing
Just one
that, the
giant
vagina is
would
like
be nice.
making me really uncomfortable. But no.
With the multiple vagina thing.
It's too much to make happy.
It's too much to
It's
make.
too much. What if you got pregnant
Well,
at the same time in each one?
my thing is like, what if they miss and they just hit that spot right between the two? That's gotta hurt. That's
You
just
see,
ow. No.
In my view, the guy with two dicks can now perform the shocker without any hands.
Can do what?
A guy with
Perform
two
the
dicks.
shocker without any hands.
I'd tie it into a bow tie. Make it nice and formal.
I would just let it hang out. You're like, what are
I
you gonna
like
do?
how we're assuming he has two large dicks. What if they're
No,
like two micro
there
Oh,
are
what if it's a
pictures.
little one and a long one?
No, they're two average-sized dicks.
You know what I'd do? I'd make you dock yourself.
Yes. Yes.
And then I'd glue them closed. Then you'd have a loop down there.
Oh.
It would look like a Polish sausage on sale at Safeway, and like
It's like the human centipede of dicks.
it's the humans.
I'll be right back. I'm gonna go smoke.
Oh, there she goes. Bye. What was? Did she kiss us, or what was that?
Yeah, she
Was
blew
she
kisses.
angry? I think she went to go throw up. I think.
No.
Ugh.
I think human centipede of dicks is what did it. That was enough for Queenie.
This is a reputation-destroying show.
No. Oh, who cares? Oh my goodness.
Says the living JPEG.
I do. I try to make. You know what I keep thinking? I'm like, I make all these poignant videos and with
Yeah.
good and then all of a sudden people come in the hangout. They're like, oh, well, listen to this guy talk about awesome shit, and he's like, well, I just want to stick my dick in an asshole and buy a dildo and
then dock with it.
No, but I mean, I would hope that people understand that I have a humorous side.
Hey, I want to respond to a comment on the video.
Okay.
No Torvarin, I'm not going to butcher your name. I did not know that female kangaroos have two vaginas and that male kangaroos have weird penises. I did not know this. Thank you.
What?
I'm looking that shit
kangaroos.
up. Nice.
It was phrased like you do know that
Kangaroo
female
penis.
kangaroos. No,
Oh.
not really.
No,
I don't know about kangaroo genitals.
I was talking about people.
Kangaroo.
I didn't know about kangaroos. Now I gotta go find a kangaroo.
I'm looking
Test
on my
that.
phone.
I'd be like, excuse me, kangaroo. I'm gonna put a glove on and you're gonna hold very still.
Wow, kangaroos do have weird penises. They look like sticks.
They look like
Andrew's just sent me a thread on park.com
yes.
discussing. Let's just say that this guy's original link is original thread is beginning as I'm stuck to my chair. I'm so very scared. Help!
Who said that?
Big Z2K.
He's scared of us?
No. This is in a different thread that he's just sent me. Some random
Oh.
link.
Wow, their dicks are really, really weird, by the way.
Who?
I am.
Kangaroo dicks.
Yeah, we might as well count
Are you
Atticus.
really looking it up on Google?
Why not?
Why not? It's good. Just because the FBI is tracking every search I do.
Well, what are they? We noticed that you like to look at kangaroo dick. You're under arrest.
Hi, we're the Australian police, and you've been looking at kangaroo dick.
Yeah.
You're trying to shove a
Okay, I
kangaroo
think
in a
that
closet.
accent is
It
actually
looks like
worse
the
than
worm
the
from Star
Scottish
Trek
accent.
2.
What did you say?
I'm sorry, what?
I think that your Australian accent is as bad, if not worse, than
Oh, it's
Atticus's
worse.
Scottish accent.
It's worse.
It's worse than that,
You've been looking
Sheila.
at kangaroo dick.
Hmm?
You've been looking at kangaroo dick, mate.
He doesn't do it too badly, though.
No, cats have the worst penis in the mammal kingdom.
Okay, hold on. No, I gotta look that up.
You're gonna
They've got
regret it. You're gonna be like, they put that in something
They
else.
have barbs.
They have
spiky
barbs. They
teeth.
look like a sandworm from Arrakis.
No. Actually, I love that reference. I love you for that reference. No, the weirdest one is platypus and echidna penises.
How do you know what that looks like?
Because they're the only. Well, no. I like them because they're an oddity of evolution, and not their penises, the animal itself. I mean, but the penis doesn't. They don't urinate out of their shaft. They urinate out of the bottom of the shaft, and the penis is only for the delivery of semen. That's all it is. It's the weirdest thing, and it spreads open like a worm of Arrakis at the
Wow,
end.
that's awesome. I wish I had that.
Oh yeah, we should put that in the thing and then screen share it.
We should
How
no.
about no?
I want to sleep tonight.
Cat penis doesn't look too weird.
Are you
Oh,
serious?
it does. It does have barbs. Oh, wow.
I told you it's horrible.
No,
It looks like
yeah.
something
You know
you'd
what's
kill
crazy?
someone with.
Turtles.
All right, I'm just.
Have you seen the turtles?
I've
have.
seen kernels aplenty.
It's like this
Penis
big
and
purple
ham
black worm thing that comes out and it gets stuck.
Oh no!
out.
Here comes Firefly.
This is why I will never
Who invited him? God damn it!
Oh, thanks for the vote of confidence, Jake.
How are we going to talk about you masturbating if you're here? That's
I
all we
already
did on
heard
the
it.
other show.
I already heard it all.
The number one.
I've been listening in for like 20 minutes since I got home.
No,
The
we're
number
talking
one
about last
weirdest
week's show.
Oh,
is
yeah.
the echidna penis. The
Yeah, but
echidna
there's no
penis.
redhead, so we have no reason to talk about Andrew masturbating right now.
Well, we do have
biggest
one redhead.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I have some redhead.
Oh, yeah, that's right, we do.
I
Oh, he's stroking his hair now, too. Oh.
just
There we go.
pictured him in drag, and what I saw was the bearded lady from Spaceballs.
Anyway, Angus started to talk about this, the thread that I sent him. It's one of the famous threads on Fark.com. I'm not sure if everybody knows this. It's kind of like a news aggregator, but for funny, completely irrelevant stories. But one of the topics that they have is an advice one, where people can just ask advice from whoever happens to be reading at the time. So as Angus said, the topic of the thread was essentially just help, I'm really scared, details in link.
Okay, that's got to be
This
good.
let me bring it up here. I want to get this right.
Basically, the guy got his balls stuck in a wooden chair
Yeah.
What?
between the slats.
Is there a picture?
He sat down and
I am-
they slipped between the slats, and then he couldn't get back out again.
Yeah.
Yep.
It was like a Chinese finger puzzle for his balls.
Exactly.
And he couldn't reach around to get to them to shift them the correct way so he could get back up.
Nope.
Yeah.
I would like to go on the record right now as saying I'm so glad I don't have balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we were getting at from the beginning, was that you don't want a pair of balls.
God, I wish we had internalized sexual organs.
I was gonna
I don't
internalize
even care if
balls.
we just had a slit and they just kind of came out when they needed to, and then they could go back in.
They crawled out like the baby from Eraserhead.
Ugh! You sick motherfucker! I hate you so much.
Get the camera.
That is so bad.
You fucking look at her face.
I fucking hate you.
David Lynch, I love him. That movie is so awesome. It's so terrible and so awesome at the same time. Yeah, so you just go, and then one of those comes out and then crawls up inside.
No, not anything that looks like a peeled hot dog. Just, something, still just tasteful, smooth, looks like a nice penis, but when we're done, whoop, it goes right back inside, where it's not going to get smashed, cut, zipped up in a zipper, caught weird in your underwear, so it's like caught. You ever had that, where it's like out of the band and the elastic's cutting into you, and you're in public and you just can't reach down there and get it all fixed, because then people will think you're a pervert? Or even worse, the useless flap in the front, and it gets halfway stuck out between there when you're walking down the street.
Okay, I don't have any experience with that personally, but I do know I have to tell my son like 3 times a day to get his hands on his pants, and his response is, "But I gotta put it back in."
Yeah.
Because in
Don't
his size
tell him
now
that.
is all the
That's it.
underwear with
Here's
flap.
what you do. Here's what you do. When you see him doing that, smack him really hard and say he's a dirty, dirty boy, and that good boys don't even ever think about their penis. Then you put him in a closet and you leave him there for 3 days, and he'll get over it. That's how you treat that.
That's how you make a cereal.
And also, you come up to the door every hour and you knock on it and you remind him that only mommy will ever love him.
So
And
if I have-
only
so
mommy
do I
can
have to
ever
tell her
touch
that I
it.
see her dirty pillows every time she wears a low-cut shirt, or what?
Oh,
That too.
tell him that if he's not good, he'll grow a pair.
Oh, okay.
If you're not good, you're gonna grow these like me. I was a bad boy when I was young, and I turned into a girl.
Yeah, and if you don't leave it alone, she's gonna cut it off.
Oh,
I'm
she's
so
gonna
glad
cut
he's
it.
not here right now. I can't hear any of this.
Don't say cut, dude. Don't say cut. Say saw. Saw it off.
Oh. She's gonna hammer it off.
Language is important. It
Or-
sparks the
No,
imagination.
no, no. The back end of a hammer.
Oh!
A pitchfork. You have to keep aiming over and over again.
Have you been at the communal wine again?
Have I been at the what?
The communal wine.
I am drinking wine, but it's not communal. It's just for getting drunk. Our Father, who art in heaven, please don't take my penis off with a pitchfork. And as I get drunk in this hangout, and
Oh, jeez. What are you
Jesus.
drinking, Firefly?
Something 150
Yeah,
years
that's
old.
I'm drinking a 185-year-old Scotch.
No, it's only like I think it's only 14.
Oh, okay.
The Glen Ross Select Reserve.
Are we
Probably
drinking?
mispronouncing. Mispronouncing.
I'm not drinking.
I'm not
I'm
drinking.
not drinking anymore.
I'm drinking.
Because all I've got is ginger wine and sake, and those two things I keep for cooking because it tastes disgusting otherwise.
Well, okay. I'm
Go
counting
get the
Jason out
rubbing
'cause he doesn't
alcohol.
drink anyway.
I don't drink at all, yeah.
Yeah, so it's like 2 and 2. I don't know.
Yeah,
So-
it's two against two.
I was gonna say, Jason, you have the type of diabetes that is automatically offset by any sugar whatsoever.
All diabetes is offset by
No,
sugar.
no. Well, there are types that are not immediately reactive or whatever, but like if you were to drink, it would immediately.
It would cause my sugar levels to spike.
I really don't know much about diabetes. I guess actually.
Diabetes is an inability to process sugar, and there's a couple of ways that you can wind up getting it. One is your pancreas secretes it secretes insulin.
I know that part.
Insulin.
Okay, and what the insulin does is it goes to your cells and it makes the openings on the cells open further so that the sugar can get into the cell and be processed as energy. Now, your body can either get tired of doing that, and so when it secretes insulin, the cells don't open, and the sugar in your blood rises up, it escalates. It doesn't have anywhere to go.
No, I understand that whole process, but
Right.
what happens to your body after the sugar level rises? The cellular response and the insulin response, I understand all of that.
The best way that it was described to me is you need to picture the sugar as being little shards of glass floating around in your bloodstream. And the more sugar you have, the more it's an adjutant. And the more sugar you have, the more agitated you become. And the more you're actually damaging your body as it stays in your bloodstream. So accumulatively, that's why people start going blind. That's why they lose circulation in their feet and they have to have their feet cut off. That's why they have strokes and they have there's a lot of physical damage from just having that amount of sugar. Now, one of the problems is what your body does when it has that much sugar in its system. It says to the body, you're thirsty, get something to drink. Drink as much as you can because I'm going to flood you're going to flood your circulatory system with liquid so that it'll capture the sugar and flush it out through your kidneys. Now, dumb Americans go, I'm thirsty, so they grab a bottle of Coke. And they drink the Coke, and they just wind up dumping even more sugar into their system. These are people who are undiagnosed. But you get so thirsty when you get diabetes that you'll drink practically anything. I was waking up and going, but before I got it under control, I was waking up and going to the bathroom 7 or 8 times a night. And not little tinkly things, like standing there for 10 minutes as you pee out everything, and then immediately going into the kitchen and grabbing something to drink. And drinking all of it. And then going back to bed. So...
Now, so when you do alcohol, obviously that's immediately dumped into your blood. So it's
it goes even faster. It goes even faster because it's a sugar alcohol.
Okay.
And your body kind of prioritizes it and rushes it through.
I'm gonna go because it's now sleepy time.
Nighty night.
Good night. See you tomorrow.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure which song I'll parody I'll keep as a parody for the theme tune, whether it'll be Oingo Boingo's Weird Science or the Vapors with Turning Japanese.
Cool.
I'll figure it out. And Jason and Andrew here. Andrew can be our bard.
Okay.
Except I'm not going to be around tomorrow.
Oh, he's probably doing a show.
No, I'm actually going to be visiting a friend of mine who I haven't seen in a couple of years.
You're not going to do Brave Sir Robin for us? And his eyes
Brave Sir Robin ran away. He kindly grabbed it. I can't remember it.
There's some lyrics we should read that are fun. With his
What's
eyes
happening?
plugged
Is the
out.
show ending? Who's leaving?
Oh no, Angus is going because he's.
Because it's 7 o'clock in the morning where he is.
Yeah, that's
Oh, wait, let me check the official, a very public spanking of watch. It's nearly 4:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
So, good night, sweet prince.
Good night, Angus.
Night, Angus. Get some sleep so you can torture
I
Jason
love
tomorrow.
you. I love you so much. Don't leave me. No.
So I had another question that was kind of serious about it.
Oh, okay. Yes.
About
What?
diabetes.
Okay.
Why? Okay, and I'm only like halfway through college, so I mean, as far as biology goes, why does it damage the feet?
Because that's it's all on your circulatory system. So a lot of people have problems with their feet as they get older, especially if you have any number of diseases. But it damages the feet because the sugar gets in and it can't get out. You have a really bad time trying to heal anything when you have diabetes. Cuts take forever to heal. Your body finds it nearly impossible to repair itself. So if you're older, your feet take a real beating on a daily basis, and most people don't notice it because your body heals itself, and your feet, for the most part, take care of themselves until you reach a certain age, and then little cuts, things like that. What happens is they'll get a cut, it'll go bad, or they'll get tendon damage, or they'll just do a little minor injury. The minor injury turns into a big injury. Because of the diabetes, you don't necessarily feel it, and then when someone finally finds out that you have damage, you have gangrene. And
Jesus
so then
Christ.
you go into the hospital, and they start cutting away as much of your feet as they feel is necessary to keep you from getting, blood poisoning, because that's what happens when you get gangrene. But you have a hard time. Diabetes is bad if it's not under control.
No,
And,
I personally know a woman that carries an insulin pump with her.
She has uncontrolled diabetes. She has type 1.
Yeah,
That's
and her feet are always kind of purplish.
Mm-hmm.
But they're not scarred or cut or anything like that. And she's not, she can walk around and she can do stuff, and it's not keeping her from. She can't work, but she, if you look at her, it's you can see it's like a little square thing with these tubes coming out, and I think that's terrible. It's just an insane way to have to.
Well, human beings are not designed to eat the amount of sugar that we are currently eating, and that has increased dramatically. I think it's 120 pounds of sugar per American per year on average. That's up from just 50 years ago when I believe it was 20 pounds. A lot of the sugar that you ingest is not, because most people just think, oh, it's sugary sodas and desserts and stuff like that. It's carbohydrates. When you're a diabetic, you cannot eat anything with a carbohydrate in it because all it does is turn into sugar when it gets into your system. So that's all breads, all pastas, rice, potatoes, anything that's a starch. If you eat that, it goes. Some of them spike your sugar levels faster than straight white refined sugar, because that's just how your body works. And so if you're a diabetic and you're controlling your diet, you're not eating any of that crap because it just keeps your sugar levels way up.
So what do you eat? You mean you need carbohydrates in your diet?
No, you don't need carbohydrates in your diet.
You don't?
That is a fallacy. The food pyramid in the United States is heavily influenced by the lobbyists who are in charge of the FDA food pyramid. They're the ones that put 11 servings of bread on.
No. I mean, not that much, but you need some, don't you?
You can get carbohydrates through fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
And you can, but a lot of research right now is clearly illustrating that your body is kind of more designed to process fats, proteins, and a few carbs. Because if you think about it, back when we were evolving in Africa, sugar was not something that we got on a regular basis. In fact, it was probably very seasonal, if there were any fruiting plants in that area at that time. Meat would be around every once in a while, and it was extraordinarily lean meat. Wild animals don't have a lot of fat on them.
Mm-hmm.
And it was that and whatever plants you found that were edible that you could just find lying around. Carbohydrates, as we think of them, right?
And
Mushrooms, leafy
Right.
greens, whatever was growing. The three things that were really not available were fat, sugar, and salt. They were just not around. We used to eat dirt to get the amount of salt that we need because that was the only source of it, unless you lived near the ocean. So fat, sugar, and salt are the three things that our bodies are programmed to want all the time. When we find a source of it, we want to eat as much of it as possible because we
So that's why I'm trying
we
to-
evolved in scarcity, and now we have plenty. And those three things, fat, sugar, and salt, are the things that are killing people. Because now that we completely control what we want to eat, we're eating nothing but fat, sugar, and salt. And that's why a lot of people have all of these. That's where we're getting the high blood pressure from, the heart disease, all of that crap is because our bodies have not evolved to what our intellect has allowed us to do as far as the foods that we eat.
You know what causes
And that's
low
why of all the
blood
diets that are around, the paleo diet is the one I actually have the least.
that's what I've been doing.
Except for the name, but
Yeah, I don't like the name either. I've been on a diet since February. I've lost 80 pounds. And
Nice.
I cut out dairy because I love cheese and that wasn't going to be helping me much. But
Oh,
mostly it was just simply cutting out all carbs from my diet. And that's all I've really done. And I feel fantastic. So it's kind of like I can't discount it and say it's crap. I've been doing it now for a little while under the care of my physician and my nutritionalist. And I can't argue with them. I'd ride my bike 4 miles a day, and I don't have any dips in my energy level. I stay up with you chuckleheads until 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock at night. So it's not like my energy levels are low, and that's not from carbs. It's not from sugar. So, a lot of people, everybody's different. All bodies are different.
Yeah.
I get
Well,
tired. I have like really low blood pressure.
You have low blood pressure.
Yeah. One time I got it done, and I remember this because I was having my colonoscopy at the time. It was 85/50.
Jesus Christ!
Jeez.
What was causing it?
I don't know. It's been a thing that's been going on with me for years. I've had doctors who have to take my blood pressure 2 or 3 times just to get one good reading because they think it's messed up.
I occasionally
even
get
know what would cause low blood
hyperglycemia.
I think everyone does. The food in this country is
more than occasionally. Actually, it's pretty often. Like every couple of weeks, and I don't notice it until I'm agitated or angry about something, and then I remind myself that if I've eaten, a certain amount of carbohydrates or sugar, it usually correlates directly with that, being agitated or having anxiety.
Yeah,
See, that's weird to me. Like, I'm the type where if I start getting shaky or like faint, I need sugar.
Yeah,
So,
well,
I
hyperglycemia.
can't. That happens every other day, pretty much. I have to watch what I eat, and if I start feeling faint or shaky, it's like, okay, I need sugar, and I'll go down some Mountain Dew.
Yeah, but I mean, high fructose corn syrup has to be one of the worst things ever invented in the history of humanity. I don't like it at all.
I'm gonna say this right now. It's just as bad as white sugar. White sugar is okay. What do you do when you make cocaine? You take an extract from the coca leaves and you refine it to a white powder. It's basically the same thing we do with sugar. We take juice from a plant and we refine it until it is it's a hyper dense super sugar. And that kind of sugar is in almost... The reason they went to high fructose corn sugar is because food manufacturers could then put on their fucking packaging sugar-free. Now it's reversed, and now everyone wants sugar instead of high fructose corn syrup. So now we're going to get sugar frosted flakes back, and it's kind of like we're just like there is no
Missing the point.
we need education in this country in regards to nutrition and general health that is free from funding from the companies that are pushing the products that they want to have pushed.
Exactly.
And that's the main problem.
And I think Zelda can testify to this. I've gotten into some debates on my own Facebook page with a few people who have posted stuff about high fructose corn syrup, and I agree. We overuse sugar in general.
Mhm.
But if you want to complain about high fructose corn syrup, actually compositionally, it's very similar to honey in terms of the percentage of fructose, percentage of
That's one of the
sucrose.
things where people see the name and it's not a single word and it's got more than 2 syllables and they freak the fuck out.
Yeah. The problem with it is that it's cheap, really.
Well, it is.
Yeah,
It is cheap,
yeah.
but we also
Yeah,
fall
sorry.
into we fall into fads in this country. Look at the one that drives me crazy every time I see it is gluten.
Oh,
Unless you have celiac disease, you should not be avoiding gluten. But now you can buy all of this gluten-free stuff. Well, guess what? They replace when they remove the gluten, they replace it with a whole bunch of other shit that is actually bad for you. Gluten-free products at the store are chock full of crap that you wouldn't normally be ingesting that they had to put in there to make the product taste good because the gluten's gone. And
it's
people
always that's the same way with everything that is light or diet food. They'll add things to it that aren't helpful at all.
See,
Yeah,
now
so-
I eat the light and the diet food. I drink my Coke Zero with fuck tons of aspartame, aspartame, however the fuck you say it. I do the light yogurts and stuff like that.
You guys know anything
I
about
don't trick
aspartame?
myself into thinking that it's more healthy than the other stuff.
Yeah, I from what I understand, aspartame, there really isn't much testing done on it. Is that right? I mean, it's not.
That's not right. They've done a lot of testing.
They've done a shitload of testing on
Yeah,
all of the
people-
sweeteners that are out
It
there.
always comes back of aspartame causes cancer, and there's been no long-term testing. There has been. For as long as it's been around,
Okay.
they have been testing it. It doesn't have a 50-year study because I don't even know if it's been around that long.
But that's what I mean. I hadn't
close
made
to
a
there.
decision about it yet. I don't drink soda or Diet Coke or diet sodas either, because I just don't like the idea of fake sugar or real sugar. But I haven't really made a decision on what is aspartame bad. It does cause cancer. It does.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't.
No, I was
no
saying that's one of the
conclusive
claims
evidence anywhere.
people like to throw out. It is not true.
That's what I was saying. From what I understand, people are saying it causes cancer, and from what I've read, it does not at all. It's
No.
just a sweetener. That's all.
When the public
It-
gets an idea
It's
in their head.
sweetener. It's like sorbitol is one that people don't like, and I can understand not liking
That'll
sorbitol
give you
because
diarrhea.
it gives you
Now,
diarrhea.
I can
But
tell you
aspartame doesn't.
the link. I've drank Diet Pepsi my entire adult life, and I will tell you the link between diet soda and sugar-free stuff and diabetes and how that works. Because your logic would be, how come it makes you hungry, and how come it contributes to diabetes? And here's how it does it. We actually have taste receptors in our stomach. They're not connected to our brain so that we don't recognize that we're tasting anything, but the taste receptors in our stomach identify foods that then preps our body for when it gets shuffled off into the small intestine. And when you drink something that is sugar-free, it still tastes the sweet. So it sends a signal out to your pancreas to release insulin that goes out into your bloodstream to prep your cells so that it will take on this huge thing of sugar that you never get. So then
Yeah,
all of a sudden your body's like, well, fuck, I'm hungry. I need to eat something. So then you go and you eat something to try to satisfy that need, or you drink another. It's one of the things where they say it makes you thirstier. It does, because your body is still expecting sugar that's never going to hit the system. So if you're drinking tons of diet soda, we're not designed to produce the amounts of insulin that a lot of us are producing. Some are more prone than others because genetically their genetics are made up so that they're more prone to diabetes. But if you're drinking nothing but sugar-free stuff, you're tricking your body into thinking it's getting sugar, and you're flooding your body with insulin that eventually it just goes, fuck it, I'm not doing this anymore. Your cells don't open, and then you wind up with diabetes again. There's a lot of it wasn't until people actually sat down and started doing independent research, and of course a lot of these studies get squashed. Real studies by colleges, universities, by other organizations that do real scientific research, and you never hear anything about them because they get squashed.
Yeah. Now, and my understanding of it also was that once you eat that amount of sugar, the insulin also blocks your body from absorbing anything. So you still feel hungry continuously even after you eat.
Here's one of the studies that I just read in which it's about nutrient absorption and carbohydrates.
Mm-hmm.
So you sit down, you're going to have a steak, you're going to have broccoli, and you're going to have a baked potato. You eat the baked potato first, and almost everyone does. Even when there's steak on the plate, if people really want a baked potato, they'll usually eat it first. Your body starts to digest the complex carbohydrates first. It wants that sugar into its system. It'll bypass or block the absorption of the nutrients from the broccoli and from the steak while you're digesting the carbs. The rest of that stuff flushes straight through your system, and all you wind up doing is digesting the sugar from your meal. So, ever notice that you can eat bread before a meal and not get full? You're just like, I love bread, and all of a sudden the bread's gone. You're like, I need more bread, and you get more bread, and you sit down and eat it. Or you can eat an entire bucket of fucking popcorn.
That's why they give it to you at restaurants.
But you can't.
I have to watch that now because I've quit. I quit buying bread at the store, and I just make it every night. I make this little.
Yeah,
loaf,
I make bread for my kids, but yeah.
And I have to watch it now because it's like I'll go downstairs and I'm hungry. It's like, oh, I'll eat a piece of bread, and then half the freaking loaf is gone. So that's the only downside to this.
The funny thing is that if you look at what's normally on your plate, most food is pretty straightforward until carbs enter the picture. You have a meat and you have a vegetable. Those are things that you can find out in nature. And then you have a bread, and bread is a form, it's kind of like alchemy. It's a magical thing. You took this stuff, you ground it up, you mixed it with about 900 other ingredients, and you made bread. Now, bread is, when I make it at home, it's flour, milk, a couple of, it's not terribly complex, but it's definitely not something that we just stumbled over. It's something that we had to create. Mm-hmm. And I think for a long time, people just assumed that carbs were good for, this kind of carbohydrate was good for people. And the research right now is kind of pointing in the other direction, that 11 servings, I can't even picture 11 servings of bread, of carbs. But that's supposed to be the basis of if you live in the United States, that's the ground floor of our food pyramid right now, is eating 11 servings of bread a day. And that's not, and coincidentally, a lot of the people who are on the FDA are also former lobbyists for the grain and bread producers of this country. So there's a conflict of interest there. And, it's one of those things where I love living in the United States. I fucking hate how capitalism does things for its own self-interest, irregardless of how it may negatively react for the long term the overall health of an entire country.
I've noticed recently, not directly, because a lot of my rehearsals for the plays that I'm in are actually in a school. And this one particular school has a food pyramid right by their gymnasium where we hold their rehearsals. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I was going to school that, it was fairly heavy in the carbs, but I've noticed recently, the more I've seen these food pyramids, it's thankfully starting to shift more towards the vegetables.
Mm-hmm. Fruits and vegetables.
The vegetables or the proteins. Mm-hmm. And by proteins, I mean the beans and the lean meats. It's trying to emphasize.
Zelda's trying to say something, or she's showing us her life crystal, because I saw something in the middle of your palm.
Oh no, this is like the little security thing off of my elbow.
Oh, okay.
No.
What were you gonna say?
I was gonna say I was reading through comments as you guys were talking. Coughlin says we're putting him off of his breakfast.
Bring him in. Bring Coughlin in.
Cutting out bread has been one of the hardest fucking things I have ever done. But after about a month and a half, you just get used to it.
And we did it for a while. I wanted to lose weight after having the baby. So Chepo got this diet plan from his mother. They went to a nutritionist in Mexico like some years back, and she sent me her plan because we're about the same height. And there's like no bread on that shit. It's 8 weeks of hell, but by the end of the 8 weeks, you eat like that anyway. By the end of the 8 weeks, like if I ate bread, I would feel sick because I was so used to just frickin' vegetables, 100 grams of meat, and yogurt. That's all I got.
100 grams of meat. Wow, that's amazing.
So when I got into like the cooking my own bread and all of this crap again, it's for a long time the bread didn't get eaten. It was just something that I made for the kids because they like sandwiches.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No, believe me, it's tough. I'm the cook in the family, and I have a little training in cooking. I love to cook, and not doing pasta or not making bread as often, and not doing potato dishes or casseroles or things like that have been.
That is my freaking weakness, is potatoes. Holy shit.
Mine too. Well, see,
like
I've never been a.
Skills involve potatoes.
I was never a sweets person. I was not a sweet. I was a savory, and so I avoided. And I didn't avoid. I ate sweets every once in a while, but my weakness was starch. My weakness was, I could make a meal out of bread and cheese. That's all I would. I love cheese more than most. Probably more than I probably should. But starch is what got me the diabetes. Because it was not my straight sugar intake. It was just fucking starch. So, listen up, kids. The bread industry is trying to kill you.
Yeah, bring Coughlin in. Bring him in.
Wait, who are you talking to?
I'm the chat.
Are you talking to yourself?
Yeah,
I thought Atticus was like, yes, bring Coughlin in.
Yes,
very
I
nice.
have Coughlin on speed dial. Here is the link. He's commenting on the video, not talking to me on Skype.
I wish I could see the comments. I can't see them at all. He's not talking to you on Skype.
No, it's on the chat. You were able to read the chat.
Does anyone have Coughlin's contact?
Yeah, but not when I did this through the through whatchamacallit, through the
Here,
Google
Plus. I know what to do. Hold
what
on.
are you gonna do?
You can share it with him privately in the comments section of the video, and I will.
Why don't you just send it on Facebook?
I'm not.
And everyone will have it.
That's actually what I was going to do. I was going to try to message him on Facebook.
No, I haven't made a Facebook for Atticus. I only have my personal Facebook. So I mean, if I add you guys, you're gonna have my full real name and all that.
We will know all your secrets, and we will exploit them for our own devilish purposes. I will start making JPEGs with your face fucking a dolphin. I will ruin your reputation.
That's not it. I'm not ready.
That's your worst nightmare. It's like, I'll check my Facebook. Dolphin fucker, what does that mean? And you're like, why? Why did you do that? And I'm like, for the sport of it.
I actually merged my YouTube and personal accounts not long ago because I was like, fuck it, I don't do YouTube anymore. Who cares? So I have all these people from YouTube now.
I don't really.
And I don't want to post anything controversial because I just know that at some point a stupid relative of mine is going to say something.
Well, that's why I don't do.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I haven't done this.
And it's just going to be great. I just can't do it.
Well, all Facebook seems designed to do is to ruin your image of someone that you knew in high school. They're like, oh, I haven't seen you in years.
I love Facebook for that purpose. I like going and like looking on the friends list of people that I have in high school, so I can see the people I hate and see if bad things have happened to them.
So it should be called Hate Book. That's what it should be called.
Oh, hey, you were a bitch in high school. Oh, you have syphilis. Great. It's just...
My favorite thing about Facebook are the people who fish. They'll sit down and they'll write, "Don't even ask me what's so bad today." And then they sit there, and then if no one responds, they write it again. "Worst day ever." And then you wait further down. "I swear to God, I'm going to kill myself." No one responds to that.
I don't give a fuck about Facebook anymore.
And then when you ask them, they tell you some mundane fucking story about how they had to wait 2 more seconds in the grocery line, or something just as equally first world problem is. I'm like, yeah, you know what? You know what would shut them up is if we got every starving person in Africa open a Facebook account and just starts spreading people. "I had to wait 2 seconds in line so that I could buy my hamburgers." And the other person's like, "I ate the flies that swarmed on my face this morning." And then it would just put everything into perspective for people.
Have you ever seen a website called White Wine?
No.
Yes.
It's called White Wine, a collection of first world problems.
That's all Yelp is.
Facebook statuses about how they're mad at the maid for hiding the remote and shit like that. It's wonderful.
Well, even if you're not rich, because here's the thing: we have at my company, one of the vice presidents sends out a Christmas greeting, and one year he sent it out, and this was the year that for the first time we never got our yearly bonus. They had this whole report about how the company was doing terribly, and blah blah blah. So he sends out this Christmas email where he describes the 7 Christmas trees that he put up in his house. He loves Christmas time and how he loves the joy of Christmas time. And he sets up. Oh, there he is.
Excellent.
He's this scary cartoon man. There he is.
Yay!
Hello.
It's still a scary cartoon man.
There you go.
What
It took
in
me
the hell
forever
are
to figure out how to
going
stream
up?
privately.
At 10 minutes to 5 in the morning.
Well, the reason I was up is because I've been doing my Patreon thing, and some people have bought Skype calls, and one of the bastards was Australian.
Oh my
So
God!
I had to get up until like 2 a.m. And of course, the thing about my Skype calls on Patreon is that, unlike everyone else, I put no time limit on them. So,
Oh no!
because I figured that would be a nice little thing to make it more sort of incentive. I don't want to be one of those people who's like it's an hour, because like it's $15 a month pledge, so it's like $15 a month for 1 hour to talk to me. I mean, that's just.
Do you run out of things to talk about?
No, of course I don't fucking run out. They don't. Some of them don't even talk. One bloke, his thing had cut off for about half hour. I was still going. But
Did you just hear faint slapping of skin against skin from the other line? For an hour?
there was a sound of hundreds of bananas being peeled very quickly. And, but the thing is, then I finished that Skype call about 4:15. Then I get a message from Live Life, who's in it. He says, "Do you want to come in for that last half hour?" I was like, "Yeah, all right." So I'm in there for that one, and I get up here, and I've got one of those invites to this thing, which I normally never ever bother clicking on.
Wow,
And
thank you.
but I thought, yeah, nothing enough. It's 4:30 in the morning, so options are somewhat limited. So yes, so here I am. So
Now, what I'm rapidly discovering is that these things are like a honey trap. Once you start doing them, if you find the right group, you wind up wanting to only do this for YouTube. I'm like,
one of the things I like about this is, as opposed to doing like a live thing on Vaughan or Blog TV, is you're not distracted by the chat, because you can ignore that. It's like, I mean, because that's the impossible thing on like a live feed on like Vaughan Live. It's like the chat is just. I have to look away from the camera. You'll notice when I'm talking on Vaughan, I'm looking away when I'm talking, because I know if I know because there's going to be some dickhead in there who's going to say something. Going to set me off on a tangent, and then it will take me 6 hours before I get back to where I was. So
that's not really a problem if you actually have viewers on Vaughn. For the rest of us, it's like no one types anything, so we sit there just kind of looking around awkwardly, waiting for someone to bring up a topic.
Well, that's the thing. My blog TVs were like, the ones I've done on Vaughan recently, because I haven't done it for a while, but I mean, mine were on average 12 to 15 hours long, and it was just, it was more like a war of attrition between me and the. It was like, right, I once had like a room, there was like 50 people in, but there was like 3 people commenting, because everyone else had either gone to bed or like had fallen asleep at their computer, and I was like, I'm not leaving until everyone. I think that would be a good charity
It's not
event.
the
Right.
Thunderdome. It's not 50 people enter, one man leaves.
That would be a good sort of charity thing for a competition. It's going to be me versus the audience, right? Who's the last can I outlast the
fights
audience?
his audience live.
I had an idea once for like a charity thing for like where you'd have like get as many people as you can to do a live feed, but they all start at the same time, and it's called the last blog standing, and the competition is to see who's the last one still broadcasting, who can last the longest.
I would only tune in when the last 3 people are up and they're hallucinating after 4 days of no sleep.
Well, I don't know if I was the first one, but I was the first one that I know of around it to do a 24-hour blog TV.
And actually managed to stay awake for the whole
Yeah,
thing. Because
yeah,
we've seen plenty of pretenders to the throne try it, and they give up after, I don't know,
Well,
50
a few
hours.
people have done it since. The thing is, I did it, and I did the 24-hour thing, and then I later on that night I was still awake for another 7 hours. I actually recorded a video, and so I was awake for about 40 hours in total, and
Oh my god.
well, yeah, that was by the end of it, I had a bit of a mad moment. I was going, yes! I was like, no one should be this excited about just wasting 24 hours of their life doing this. But
it's an odd addictive thing.
Mm.
And when we do the show on Saturday, 4.5 hours, 5 hours, 6. I think the longest was maybe 6.
7 hours.
7 hours went by. That's a yeah. I mean, that's nothing to you.
Yeah.
But I start out here. We start
That's
it's
a
nice
day-
and sunny
that's a
day
day.
outside. Children are playing, birds are singing, and then when I'm finished, it's midnight. My family hates me. And they don't.
Family hates you. You hate Angus. It's all.
Yeah, well, I always.
The thing is,
Angus is easy to hate. About 20 minutes after you start talking to him, you just want to knock the fake teeth out.
the thing is, I really get invited to these things because people who've seen me live before know that I mean, there's a reason I don't have I've never had a co-host on a live show for I just never. I do 15 hours straight and just be like, on my own. And so I get invited to these things like Live Life. I've done these one loads of times, and I don't mean to be rude. It's just that I'm used to sort of talking, being in my own show. So I end up just sort of like, I end up sort of dominating the conversation, and so I don't get invited back.
Well, you're coming in at the perfect time because we were talking about we were talking about fucking nutrition and food.
I know that was the weird thing. I'm sat here watching essentially 5 Americans talk about food, talk about nutrition.
You're a Canadian.
Yeah, I want a Canadian.
Can I get the
Well,
awkward
Yeah.
I'm different. I'm a Canadian.
Can I just?
yeah.
I wanna.
Oh wait,
I want to tell Coughlin that his beard is majestic.
Yeah.
And now that
Yeah.
I'm done being awkward, we
It's
can
not.
go.
I don't have a beard anymore. there's a beard that's got my head attached to it. Is really.
You guys ever watch The Kids in the Hall?
yes.
Yeah.
The beard stays. And then
It
takes
is
over
weird.
his whole
The weird thing
fucking
I don't
face.
get about beards I've learned is the sort of pride in people. It's like I'm growing my beard. It's like, no, you're not. It's always growing. It's like what you're when you say I'm growing a beard, what you're effectively saying is I'm not shaving. It's actually you're
Right,
actually
you're
saying
not-
you're going to be doing less.
You're getting praise for not doing something. When I used to curl my mustache, people used to say, "Oh, how did you do that?"
It's
Oh,
like I
I
haven't sat here
ignored
and
my
cultivated
face.
it, and I've rubbed it in fertilizer to try and get the best. I'm
I
just,
saw
if
some Hindu
anything,
monks.
If anything,
Okay.
this isn't style. This is apathy. This is just a sort of.
Mm. It's like getting a compliment on growing.
Mm.
It's like, oh, you've managed to grow so big, and it's like, yes, I was trying very hard to grow to the height that I'm at.
Nice fingernails. Look at
Yeah,
how long and gross
I think
they
I
are.
take a bit of pride in it as well because it's one of those things that it's something only men can do. Like men, most
some.
men. Yeah.
I would
and so-
still grow a beard if I could. I
It's
would
like
just
this
have
is-
like.
I'll tell you what it is though. It's once you get to that length where you suddenly just one day go, and then that's it. You're hooked at that point, and you're just like,
And when you're like,
and then you're twiddling it and going,
When you feel like Rasputin, that's when you're hooked.
yeah, because there's that sort of thing of like the strokey beard type. We go, and as soon as you do
I have
that,
a public service announcement before I go dump out this alcohol. Rompope is horrible.
What is it?
Rompope. It's like egg yolk and milk, but alcoholic.
Mm.
right?
So
And
egg-
the further
It's a
I have
shit
gotten,
version of a
Oh,
cheese and egg
lovely.
sandwich.
it has gotten, and it's fucking awful.
Mm.
Egg and milk in a drink. Wow, that's.
It's eggnog.
Look, this is it. This is it. Look at how thick this is. Look.
Okay, I'm not going to say what that looks like.
Yeah. It's like-
we
But you know,
started on that
I don't want to know how long it took to fill that bottle.
yeah, well,
So
It
it's
took me 2
eggnog
seconds.
gone wrong. Gotcha.
there's a lot of tired men in a factory somewhere just
It's,
drinking huge
Actually,
amounts
it's worse than that. This is made by nuns.
Oh,
Mexican
now I
nuns.
don't really want to know what it is.
Ew.
It's lactate, isn't it? It's dried up, lumpy old woman's lactate.
If we're lucky, or those nuns have a really bad yeast infection.
I
Enough
actually
to
can't-
bottle.
No, that's where they get Marmite from.
Because it isn't.
Shit.
Why did you buy it? And then why did you continue drinking it?
I didn't buy it. Chepo's parents brought this up from Mexico, and
Are they trying to
I
kill
drank
you?
it because he yelled at me for stealing his beer last time, and I don't have anything else to drink.
And this is your
So
punishment.
here's some nun yeast.
Okay, anything that starts with "they brought this up from Mexico" is it's just going to be.
Okay, to be fair, I brought my husband up from Mexico, so yeah, I guess that really does apply. But
The only thing I ever brought up from Mexico was gonorrhea.
I've
I
never
never-
been.
That was actually the name of the stripper, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
You'll get
When
that,
I was-
won't you? You
The
get some
beautiful
stupid.
American word she heard.
When I
Gonorrhea.
was
You're gonna
on
get
the-
that with some. You're gonna get some stupid fucking like a celebrity gonna call this. This is our new child, gonorrhea, and
Fine.
Hepatitis.
well, no, 'cause
Hepatitis.
it's true because in America, because of the film Willy Wonka and the Willy Wonka books, Veruca became a girl's name in America, whereas over here
They
it's
don't know what a
infection.
verruca is. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wait, what is it?
it's an
an
infection
infection.
on your foot that you
Ew.
get when you have to go swimming. You have to wear a rubber sock when you go swimming because it will spread otherwise.
I've never heard of this.
Hmm.
This show is so interesting. Okay, I'm gonna have to Google that later.
Yeah, it's
Oh, God.
VERUCA.
I like how we went from talking about dildos and penis puppets to nutrition.
Well, you brought up that big bottle of pus that you're drinking, and now we're on to this.
And now we're on to toe infections and
The internet, live shows on the internet, they're sort of like the prog rock of conversations. They've got no real direction. No one can figure out what's going on,
No.
and it lasts forever. But
And
you're
you can't
you're-
tell if it's good or not.
Yeah, and you're still sat there, and you're going, you'll just listen to it, and
Well,
you'll go
we'll
to
know
the
it-
next one.
Well, now it's gone full circle when we're talking about dildos again.
It's
Yeah,
my hope against
Well,
hope that we're just the background noise to two people having drunken bad sex on
I
a
want to
Friday
think of a
night.
lonely man. Like he set up a dinner table, and he's got like all of the webcams there, and he's got like and he's got a different one on full screen, and he's like pretending to.
If he's on Foursquare, then he's not wearing
I don't know
pants.
about you guys, but I find this very difficult to masturbate to.
No.
Well, then that should be a. See, that's a problem, mate. You see problems. We see challenges. That's the.
No, I can't even get hard right now.
Then we'll
so-
just try harder.
Okay.
Think about the Coke can.
So I don't know whether I
Coke
should be
don't pick
offended
up.
or proud of that, and it's always weird.
The Coke can in the anus. Okay.
Yes, because we actually.
I
did
had gotten that out of my mind.
Well, now it's back in.
Oh yeah, and
It's another thing the internet's talking about.
And you know what I was going to say? If that man could open the Coke can after it's been inserted into his anus, then that guy needs to be doing a show on television.
He should
Because
put
that
it
would be
upside
amazing.
down, shake his bump, twerk, and then undo the can and let it spray.
Yeah, but I mean, he has to have muscles in his colon
That's
that can
probably
undo
Google
the
it. That's already been done. I guarantee you.
it's always been done.
There's
He has
every-
like a prehensile prostate that can open the can.
I
You
can't
heard
think
that-
every great idea I've ever had, I've gone, that's a brilliant idea. Google it. 400,000 entries. Oh fuck, you know. It's like
You know, when I was doing, I will have to say that is that I'm glad I'm not doing stand-up now. I was doing stand-up in the early '90s, and I'm glad the internet wasn't around because I wouldn't have any material. I'd go online and I go, oh, this is funny. I'm going to type that in, and I'll find out that it's a meme or a YouTube short or something else, and I'd wind up throwing away my entire act. I liked there was a niceness about not knowing what everyone was fucking doing every moment of the day.
Well, I mean, the thing is, it's different. I mean, for me, it's like when I started doing stand-up, I didn't have the internet. I mean, that was 2002, 2001, and I didn't get the internet till I was like 26, so it was like 2006. But as soon as I got it, I then started incorporating like I'd put bits of my act would originate from things on the internet. And now, because we live in such a huge internet culture, like the last show I did in Brighton, there's lots of little bits I put in there where I just say things that are, like, you'd have to be internet savvy to know what they were. Like I'm doing jokes about emoticons and things like that,
right,
and
right.
Jokes about like Facebook and saying things like YOLO and stuff like that in the middle of and like, of course people get that now. But like so yeah, it's kind of it's just part of it now, so you sort of get used to it. But it just gives you a dearth of nutters. I mean, like, I suppose it's good in a way because like there's when you're talking about politics and news, it's like the nutters are all the same people. Like in George Bush in 2001, everyone's just talking about George Bush because he was just. I didn't do a single George Bush joke for my entire stand-up thing because it was just too easy to just go out there and do it. And of course, when you get on the internet, you can get all these brand new nutters that you can tell people about who are nutters in a way that people would never believe existed. So I'm just going through these conversations I've had with these people, and it's just like it's more interesting then.
I was wondering because I haven't gone back to that, and I was just trying to figure out how much has changed, how different is it? I know the old circuit's gone and all that other stuff, because I was in San Francisco at the time, and we used to be able to hit a comedy club all the way down to LA and then come back up through the Central Valley and do these little shithole towns that would pay you $5 and you'd sleep in, oh, we got a room for you, and your agent would tell you, oh, there's a room there for you to sleep in, and it's just a fucking,
I've never been an agent.
Believe it, there was 3 in San Francisco at the time that handled a lot of people at the same time. They'd show up at the Holy City Zoo on open mic nights and kind of pick the ones that they thought might go someplace. And it was tiring. And then what happened was Comedy Central came out, and they were suddenly filming everybody in L.A.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, we're going to film your bits and we're going to put it on television, and that pretty much killed stand-up comedy. Died. We had 7 or 8 comedy clubs in San Francisco, and within 2 years, we were down to 2 or 3. The Improv closed. When the Improv closed, that's when I quit. I thought, I'm not interested in pursuing this.
Well, so that's never really happened over here. I mean, at the moment, stand-ups. I mean, I said this, but this wasn't like a sort of big Nostradamus-style prediction. When the economy was crashing, I sort of said, this is something that benefits stand-up. There's going to be a lot more because stand-up's that something you can. You need one bloke who's got an act. All you need is a stage to put him on, and 3 or 4 cameras, and it's the cheapest. This happened during when Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister, and the economy crashed. Suddenly there was this huge load of stand-up everywhere, and you couldn't get in because no one wanted to fund like a sort of play about Russian gnomes during the during the Stalinist period, done in interpretive dance and stuff like that. So they just get a bloke who can tell jokes for half an hour and it picks up. And there is stand up all over TV nowadays, but there's also but because of that, it's actually become it's now cool to be a stand up. And this it's one of these things that lots more people are getting into. Because I mean, you see these young lads who are doing it. They've been doing it. They've been doing 3 years because now they've got you get these guys who are comedians and they look good. And I've been against that. Comedians who look good. I think comedians aren't supposed to be good looking or trendy. And so but
I think the worst example of that in the United States, people who are actually groomed, where I think Dane Cook is probably the best example of someone who was being groomed up the ranks and trying to force. I'm a
I think that Dane Cook is like. I mean, I watched his Vicious Circle show, and it's like I sat there going, "It's a." Because normally with a comedian that I don't find funny, I can still tell when I'm supposed to laugh.
Yeah.
Like I can tell when the punchline is, and it's like I'm sat there going, how do people know to laugh at that? I don't. It was
Yeah,
like,
exactly. It's like
there's 17,000 people watching him. I'm like, in a way, I respect him because he managed to fill up a 17,000 seat arena. What I can only tell is absolutely no talent whatsoever.
yeah, and
So
no real material either. No.
Yeah, but I mean, he's one of those guys who's like, stand up wasn't it was a means to an end. He wanted to use it to get into TV, and that, which is very common in America.
And it's still that way.
I never liked Dane Cook ever. What do you guys think about Louis C.K.? I mean,
I love Louis C.K.
Oh, Louis, yeah. There's very few comedians I don't like in some way. There's just generally there's like 3 or 4 that I just despise and can't stand. But there's not many. But I mean, every comedian who's successful, there's always something you can always learn something from any act. I mean, even if you're watching an act and you don't like the jokes, you can generally look at them if you're because comedians are the only people who can watch a comedian and can appreciate everything else that apart from the jokes, which is one thing you don't get from an audience. They're like, if you don't make them laugh, it doesn't matter anything else. But like you can always watch comedians who you don't really like and still find. I mean, Bill Maher's someone who I find incredibly obnoxious and irritating, and I just want to slap him half the time. But the one thing he does, as a comedian, the one thing he does that annoys me is when he's doing his like new rules thing at the end, and he's doing his jokes and that. And if the audience doesn't laugh at one particular joke, he'll do this look like, and this scowl at them, as if it's their fault. Like it's like going. It's like, why are you not laughing? And I'm like, I really can't stand it because it's one thing I've done like some stand-up lectures for students and stuff, teach workshops and that. And one thing I teach them is like, if the audience doesn't laugh, 999 times out of 1,000, it's your fault. You know, sometimes it'll be, sometimes you just get that audience, and it's just they just don't like your stuff, and it doesn't matter how good you are. But it's like you can't blame an audience for not laughing. It's an involuntary response to something you've heard. So
I remember the first time I did open mic at the Holy City Zoo. It's filled with nothing but comedians and aspiring comedians, and I went on and I did my bit. You only got 5 minutes. Not a laugh, not a single laugh from beginning to end. And you come off, and one of the comedians goes, "That was really funny. That was really good." And I was like, "I didn't get a single laugh." And he said, "They're all comedians. They're not going. This is what they do for a living. They're not necessarily there to laugh at your stuff."
I'm not like that. Whenever I watch other act, even if it's an act I've seen like 15, 20 times before, I'll still laugh at it. I think I'm one of these people. If I see an act and they're not doing well, I have to walk out and not sit. I can't heckle or sit there because the thing is, I feel, because I've been in that position before where you're in front of an audience and they're not laughing, and I just sort of feel bad for it. But yeah, it's I mean, I've spoken to America. I don't think I could have done stand-up if I was in America, because talking to American acts, when they just talk about you turn up at a new act night and there's 20 acts there. I mean, it just doesn't. This is why a lot of American acts come over to Britain, because it's such a small country, and each little town's got its own little circuit. But in America, you've got to go all over the fucking place, whereas over here,
in the United States, you really had to make a commitment to traveling a lot, never being home.
Yeah.
Because if you were going to go on tour, you would go state to state.
I mean, you can drive from. I'm in the south of England. I'm right at the bottom of the country, but you can drive to Edinburgh, which is in the middle of Scotland. You can drive there in 6 hours.
Yeah.
So no matter where you are, you can go. You can tour around, and of course, because we've got such a big comedy scene, and because everyone watches, comedy's big over here, they've got a better chance of getting picked up, and also because they're foreign. Even if you're American, you've got that advantage being in another country.
6 hours is from my neck of the woods up in San Francisco down to LA. That's how long it takes to drive just to Los Angeles.
Can I say now? The reason I brought up Louis C.K. was because I've been jaded by his comedy, honestly. And the thing is, for the past few years, I haven't really found anyone else very funny. I'll be like, he broke my funny, and just within this last year, I was sitting there thinking, no one else can make me laugh the way he does, And when you uploaded Eat a Queer Fetus for Jesus, the ending part where you're talking about being in the store and shitting yourself, I was at work listening to that, and I almost fell off my chair laughing because I thought it was so fucking funny.
Yeah.
And I said, okay, all right, I'm okay. I could, there are other things that are funny, and that was one of the first things in years.
The thing about that routine,
Mhm.
I originally started writing that in 2007, and it took me 4.5 to 5 years before it was good enough for me to feel I could perform. Because the problem was like the first time I did it properly was actually at one of the stand-up shows I did for people from YouTube, a little theatre and that, where it come, because I thought if I need to do this in front of an audience who are going to like me already, because it's such a sort of extreme act in places. So I thought because I'd done it a few times before and I just wasn't putting my heart and soul into it, because you've just really got to go for it with that. Because the thing about it is there's a peak to the show. Sort of, the way the routine works is I start off telling a few bits, and it peaks in the middle when I'm sort of ranting at the nurse who gave me the baby scan for that, and that's the point where it's like, right, this is the most unpleasant part of the show. This is so awkward and uncomfortable, and that's the point where if no one walks out at that point, if you haven't walked out, then you're okay for the rest of the show. But that's the point. That was always the point where it was like, this is the tipping point here, because by the end, because at that point, I've been such a prick during the first half. People don't like me. The idea is I wanted to make people sort of think I was being really nasty and unpleasant about it. But then by the end of it, you've got this decrepit, useless man on his knees crying, shitting himself, and it's like you sort of just it's like it takes all that away. So.
Bill Hicks used to do the same thing. He used to test his audience to see what kind of crowd he was going to have by going on an absolute, by basically attacking one or two people in the audience who, if anyone showed any kind of negative reaction in regards to his opening jokes, he would then test the audience to see how well they were going to handle his material, and if he thinks that they're going to handle it well, then he continues on. But here's the difference: when he thought they were going to handle it poorly, he increased how offensive he was going to become for the rest of the show, because he had reached. When I first met him, he had reached kind of this. It was kind of a negative Zen-like state, where he knew exactly what he was doing, but he wasn't 100% happy with the situation that he was in.
You met Bill Hicks personally, or you mean introduced to him?
I was introduced to him, and I talked back and forth a couple of things, but that nothing, we weren't like best friends or anything. You meet a lot of people, and there were a lot of people who were up and coming when I was doing it. Patton Oswalt was doing stuff, and they had the passion to stick with it and eat crap and sleep out of a box and do all the things they needed to do because they were so in love with stand-up. And I kind of enjoyed eating and having a roof over my head.
Well, that's the thing. That's the thing I learned. It's like, if you're going to be if you're going to be offensive, but you're going to be offensive and you're trying to be funny with it, and you want it to be, you've got to take it to the ultimate. You've got to take it as far as you can. There's no point being. It's like the reason people always say is like, you look at Nazis about aptitude, was the first one that I did. If you actually look at the things I'm saying in that, it's like if I toned it down a bit and done it as like a just guy talking to a camera who was a Nazi character, it would have made people like, they would have taken it seriously. But it's so impossible to take that seriously. It's so ridiculous that there's no way it could possibly be. If you're offended by it, it's just because you'd be offended by anything. So, but if you take it to that ridiculous extreme, that's what you've got to do. So that that's what obviously Hicks was doing. He thought, because you get that with an audience, who are timid at the start. You start off, because like my first 10 minutes covers like sort of the shorter jokes, but they cover a lot of stuff. A lot of sensitive subjects all in a row, and sometimes you get them and they're not going for it. It's like, right, I'm just going to go even further. So by the time we get to the next routine, they'll realise the first stuff was actually better.
Well, the name of your show is eat a queer fetus for Jesus.
Oh, no,
I mean, they were there. No one's walking in there thinking that you're going to be doing a
well, no, I did the show. The first time I did the show in Brighton in 2011. On the last, I did a week run of it, and the last gig I did, these 8 women came to it. 2 of them were pregnant, right? And they walked out, and I'm like, what did you expect
think
me
we were
to talk
gonna...
about? You know, but generally it doesn't happen. I mean, that's the sort of thing. It's like when you're doing, like, it's a good marketing as well, because people would go. It's the sort of thing people go, eat a queer fetus for Jesus, and they either go, I want to see that show.
Now, don't take this the wrong way, but I looked at that title as being brilliant because it is what you're going to get. It's like the name, you know, the direct name. When you have pornos that directly say what they're going to say, it's like beaver hungry MILF hunters. You know what you're getting when you... Exactly. That's what I think. That eat a queer fetus for Jesus, you're like, you know what you're getting into when you go in.
The other interesting thing, the other thing I found about the title is because it's got the, because I'm a bit of I'm a real nerd when it comes to words and language, and like you learn that the way things sound affects the way people, you know, respond to them. And when you say, like, the idea of eating a queer fetus just sounds good, but when you put like eat queer fetus for Jesus, it's got that rhythm, and it's got that, and it's got the little bit of rhyme into it, and that's aesthetically pleasing in terms of what it sounds like. So people hear this title that sounds horrific, but it's such a sort of, if I'd made it, if I'd done sort of, you know, shag a gay fetus for Allah, it wouldn't have actually sounded. It would have sounded.
That should be your follow-up show.
Yeah. But it's like, the thing is, it sounds stupid, but I mean, this is a thing, like, because I get obsessive over words. People think I nitpick when I'm talking about little words people say, but it's like that's where actually a lot of the stuff is that people, because eat a queer fetus for Jesus should be more offensive than it is. You know, it should be a show title that people are more disgusted by, but they're not. But they hear it and they just sort of pause because they're trying to process both the sort of the
visual of it,
and but the actual sort of sound of it. It's got this rhythm to it that sounds quite pleasing.
I completely, because I write everything that I produce, and I wrote plays and stuff like that. Language is incredibly important to me, and it's why the internet drives me fucking insane half the time. Because the language use, people will say things, and I think I know what they're trying to say, but they're incapable of saying it correctly, and they wind up what their meaning comes off as being either opposite or angrier than they meant to be, or whatever else. And it's kind of the... You have a very precise act, and I think that the great thing about it is that it doesn't seem precise. All of the great comedians.
Okay, speaking of the internet and comedians, Zelda had a question.
Wait, she wrote a question in, and she's on the goddamn show.
No, she wants to talk.
Well, because I was over here like raising my hand.
Oh, I didn't even see one. Sorry. Zelda, did you want to share with the class?
Yes, please. I was gonna ask.
This is my 23-inch
dildo. You guys
dildo.
heard Honest John's stuff, not his videos about fair tax stuff, but like his actual comedy routines.
Do you know, I haven't had a chance to watch him, but I've subscribed to him. I know who he is. I know who you mean. But I mean, I'm subscribed to like 850 people, and so it just sort of like sometimes I get the chance to watch something, sometimes I don't. And but I know he does do. Stuff like that.
I've only seen his comedy stuff. Like, I had to look it up, unrelated to his channel, and I saw like some bit he did on something for HBO. But he's actually quite funny.
Who is this?
He's like an adorable little old man.
He's called Old Comic One, I think, is his actual channel name.
That was it. Yeah, I'm good.
You don't have a follow-up question or anything?
Well, no, I was going to say, someone on the comment section said look up the comedian Billy Connolly. I would hope most people know who the fuck
You know what, if you don't know who, if you're making an assumption that we don't know who Billy Connolly is.
It's like when someone, it's like if we're discussing music.
Even children know who Billy Connolly is
It's like we're discussing
of Muppet Treasure Island.
someone says, "Have you heard of the Rolling Stones?" Have you heard of this?
It's like suggesting that we watch this unknown.
Billy Connolly was the reason. Billy Connolly's the reason I'm doing stand up at all. Because I mean, I got into stand up when I was 9, and I was listening to his. My dad had several of his vinyl, like 12-inch vinyl live recordings, and I used to listen.
I'm gonna be right back. Speaking of vinyl, I'll be right back.
The kids in the chat would know what
Richard
vinyl.
Pryor.
Yeah, I love Richard Pryor. I love Richard. Richard Pryor is my favourite. I probably would say, when someone says, like, who's the best comedian ever, I normally say Richard Pryor.
Richard Pryor, I think Richard Pryor, George Carlin.
Yeah, George Carlin is definitely...
Just don't bring up Superman 3.
His later stuff. He got more interesting as he got older. And
I felt with Carlin. Carlin, I got to the point where it was like, towards the end, it was like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Overall, it's just it's a fantastic body of work. But towards the end, it was just like he just sort of was just sort of ranting and moaning about stuff, and there was less focus on. And the other thing about George Carlin is he's one of these people who, unfortunately, people on the internet, when you're having a discussion about politics or anything really, they will link you to a video, quote him, and there's an expression I've got with a few of my friends called "argumentum ad Carlin." Which is,
it's now a fallacy on the book, like Godwin's law.
Yeah, it should be. As soon as someone throws George Carlin up in a discussion about politics, that's it. There's no point in in discussion, because he actually didn't talk about politics a lot. He just was very, because his stuff was more sort of like stuff that it was like observational stuff, but done in an incredibly sort of cynical and pessimistic way, but he didn't really talk about issues or things that were going on and things like that. He just sort of talked about people and life in general.
I think people gravitate to him because he talked, well, at least in the atheist community on YouTube, he talked about not believing in God, and he believed in, and he was saying it publicly in front of large audiences, and people appreciated it.
I think it's also the fact that he was doing, the act he was doing it in the 50s when most of the stuff he was saying was illegal. That's and for him to go as long as he did, and to still be going is incredible, because normally most comedians sort of, when they get comfortable and famous, because it's a very hard thing to do when you don't have to do it anymore. So a lot of, when you're on your panel show, or you've got your chat show, or you're going the sitcom or whatever, it then becomes like stand-up's a hard thing to motivate yourself. I mean,
he was still doing a brand new show every year for HBO, and he didn't have ghostwriters. He didn't have anyone coming in and writing his material, and he wouldn't repeat any of his material from one year to the next.
Yeah, and he didn't have to do it. Didn't have. He was. And that's the thing about a lot of comedians. I mean, people say a lot of comedians they lose it, and they don't really. It's just the fact that comedy generally comes from you have to have a passion, obviously, to do it, but you also have to have something. You have to have something you want to say or do with it that makes you want to go out and do it, because
I kind of look at it like sometimes they become so they no longer have anything to draw from that other people would be able to relate to. If you look at Eddie Murphy, he came out really strong as a stand-up comedian, then he became famous, and then his comedy kind of because he no longer had anything to draw from that other people could relate to, because
it's also the fact that you're a millionaire, you're comfortable, you've got wife, your kids, you've got nothing to get angry about, and also you're also a bit be out of touch with regular people, which is what the sort of appeal is for stand-up. It's it's the people watching TV at home. If you can't relate to that, there's that Jim Carrey routine that he does when he's doing he's trying to sort of do observational humor. He goes, don't you hate it when you're in bed with 3 women and the ugliest one says, hey, save some for me. It's just like it's this.
Although I will say Chris Rock managed to do it on his last HBO special when he was talking about
He's excellent.
Rich neighborhood. Yeah, he's excellent, because when he was doing the whole "I live in this rich neighborhood" and he was doing the comparisons between rich black and white black, and how he said, I've made all of these movies, and my other neighbor is this famous rap singer, and we have one white guy that lives with us also in a giant house. He's a dentist, and he's using that to compare and contrast between white rich and black rich. And it was like, okay, that's relatable. And it's insightful. It gives you something to think about.
Yeah, the
as
thing
well as
about
being
Chris
funny.
Rock, and you can tell this when you watch him, is like his dad was a preacher, and
Yeah.
you can see that in the way he does that sort of thing where he repeats everything, and he sort of like
Yeah,
he
that's
sort of shouts to the microphone. It's really you can see that sort of that evangelical side of it.
See, I was never a big fan of observational comics like Jerry Seinfeld.
I love Seinfeld. I think he's
I just can't.
fantastic.
I can't. He's really good at what he does. I just don't enjoy the comedy.
I'm with you there, James. I don't like Seinfeld. I don't know.
I love the TV show. Don't get me wrong. There's a difference.
The thing I love about it is, I mean, because I can't write. I've tried observational. I can do it to an extent.
It's
but I can't
fucking
do it.
hard.
I can't do it. And when I watch Seinfeld, I mean, people can say, "Oh, it's boring" and stuff like that, but it's like I'm watching it. I'm going. I watch Seinfeld and think, why did I never think of that? I've seen that and stuff because it's like, why didn't I think about? I've walked my dog 1,000 times and I've never done that. And I was like, it's like when he goes to a friend's house.
Maybe that's what it was, because you feel like an idiot half the time. You're just like, I've been in a coffee shop 900 times. How come I didn't see these jokes just
and he does that thing as well, because I'm like, well, that's what observational humour is. It tells you something that we all know, but we didn't notice until they tell you. And I can't really do that. But it's like that when he goes on about women. He goes, women always want to know what men are thinking. Well, I'll tell you, nothing. And of course that's because all the men laugh, because that is actually what it is like. Whenever they say what you're thinking, you're like, oh, no, nothing. We're just walking around looking at stuff. That's really.
There was
a.
Go ahead.
No, Karen.
There was a great HBO show special in which it was Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Louis C.K., and Ricky Gervais just sitting around talking about stand-up for an hour and a half, 2 hours. And you couldn't get 4 more different comedians in the same place talking about process, about how they work. And it's one of those things where they started talking about working blue, working without cuss words, in which they were all telling Jerry that they'd pay him $1,000, an obscene amount of money to just start cussing in his act because he doesn't do it. And that was another frustrating thing about it, because to work, to be able to come up with jokes, whether I found them funny or not, I appreciate the man's skill. But to also do it clean baffles my mind, because I don't think I can turn that off.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do it either. I mean, I don't swear. I mean, swearing doesn't mean anything. I don't put any. I don't put any. I don't make an effort to put the word fuck or shit or anything. It works with what I'm doing. It's like this is. If I was trying to deliberately mind my language whilst I'm doing jokes about about disabled kids and and the Holocaust, it just doesn't make. It's like if you're offended by the swearing, then the joke's not going to work anyway. So I might, And again with Seinfeld, I just said there's a brilliant. I don't know if you saw. Did you ever see Comedian, the documentary Seinfeld made? It's just a fantastic. I just love that. I saw it like 2007. Oh, wow. It's just him spending. It's him spending a year. Basically, it starts off with him doing a show, and I think it's the one he did called "I'm Telling These for the Last Time," which is when he did all these old jokes that he's like been doing for years, and he says like he's going to write a whole new act, and it follows him for the year and a bit like writing a whole, and it's really interesting because like he shows him trying new material out in these clubs, and he's dying on his arse, and he's forgetting where he is. And stuff like that, and it follows this other comedian as well.
Now I'm definitely going to look it up because that sounds interesting.
It's just if you're a comedian, you love it. I mean, I don't know where anyone else would find it interesting, but it's just sitting around watching guys, because it's that moment where I love that. I know doing new material is always nervous because you don't know whether it's going to go, and if you don't get a laugh, it's bad. But when it's that moment when you get off stage and you go, why didn't that work? And you go, that's why it didn't work. And then the next time you go on stage, you do it. And that's what you see with this. It's him developing, and he talks to Bill Cosby, and he talks to lots of other, and they follow this other comedian as well, this new act who's a real prick. And they're following him. He's just been signed by George Shapiro, and he's just this real, like, obnoxious prick. And but apparently he saw the documentary and realised he was a prick, and then he was actually quite a nice bloke afterwards. But I recommend that one. It's a really fascinating
I was gonna say you've reminded me that during the hangout last week, and I was telling them that I probably shouldn't get drunk because I make terrible jokes, and I was telling them that I made a Holocaust joke during the middle of the show last week that I didn't even remember.
You made a Schindler's List joke.
I mean, yeah, well,
you
you know,
did.
same
I don't
thing.
even know how you related
So
it.
you're a denier of your own Holocaust joke. Is
Yeah.
that what you're saying?
No. I didn't remember it because I was so fucking insanely
Yeah,
drunk.
that's what the Nazi war criminals say. I don't remember it. I wasn't there.
I was drunk during
No,
the
I was saying-
entire war.
I pardoned somebody like Eamon Goth. I think it was. I was
Eamon,
like,
yeah,
no.
you referenced him. I think you were talking. I don't even remember what it was,
No,
but
it
it
was
the scene
the-
where he
Half
shoots
of the show last
stable
week
boy.
was Atticus doing that one accent that he does and talking about docking. That was like 90% of the show.
No, as soon as you get about a gallon of liquor into me, I'm funny. I am funny.
What I love is that after
Gallon of
that
liquor.
show of like picking on all of these old hippie women in peasant tops,
Yeah, she deserved to die. That was the
Yeah,
problem.
that was your day,
horrible,
everyone.
horrible things about them. We sat here in the frickin' non-live hangout sharing family photos for like 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, afterwards it was like, okay, we got to turn off the act. Then I was like, hey,
Oh, family time! Look at my
little
cute
girl.
children.
Look, in my video on my YouTube channel, I'm relatively squeaky clean. I ruin my reputation on Saturday nights when I do the goddamn shows with all of these people because they know that I'm a crass, over-sexualized, bizarre person in real life.
Dude,
I
that's
need
where you got
to-
this. This is
Such
what I tell
fingering.
people. This is what I tell people who try really hard to like cultivate an image. I'm like, no, I got it right. It's like if you just make it clear from the start that you're the worst type of degenerate going, and there's literally nothing you can imagine like that I haven't done or been or gone through, and then you've saved yourself at that point from a lot of hassle because it's like you can't, what are you going to throw at me? There's
I've
nothing
always,
left.
when I was first coming around, and actually quite recently, people have been asking me, you don't seem to like Thunderfoot, and you seem to like Coughlin, and he's like, well, why? And it's like, because he doesn't have an agenda. He doesn't have an agenda that I don't know.
yeah,
And I always feel like, with other people on YouTube, I feel that they're holding something back that they're not saying out of omission.
yeah.
And I don't trust those people. I've always felt that you were being honest with your viewers when you're on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, a lot of people who just avidly hate me with a sort of with a passion, they genuinely think that this is all, that everything I do is an act and it's set. I'm like, who would write this down? Who would script out this process? It's like, this is the dumbest idea.
Like you sat
This is
down
the
and said, "Here's
stupidest
my
thing."
master plan.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
going
I
to
feel-
target
yeah.
certain people."
There was people when I had that drama with it. When I had that drama with the Amazing Atheist in 2009, which led to my meltdown. There were people saying it was fake. I'm like, why would I agree to this? Why would I agree to take part in a drama that makes me look like a complete and utter twat? It's just, but yeah. I mean, it is funny. It's like people say I'm obsessed with Thunderfoot. I haven't spoken about him for a year in videos.
Mhm.
And people seem more obsessed with me and Thunderfoot. They're like sort of, it's either you're either a Coughlin guy or a Thunderfoot guy. You can't be
That's what
one or the other. It's like,
they make it seem like that those are your only two options. That you have to be 100% in the other person's camp. Here's your armband. Welcome
as
to
much
the
as
party.
Thunderfoot goes, I appreciate his science videos, but everything else I really
So
could give
sick.
a fuck about. That's the thing. And
I
I
mean,
have to
even,
say,
but what science videos? I mean, that was the problem, wasn't it? It was like
the creationist
what-
videos.
Yeah, but I mean, how many times? I mean, even that's been done to death. I mean,
Yeah.
how?
But I hadn't-
I understand. I'm not saying people shouldn't make videos about creationists. But what I'm saying is, if you've been bashing creationists like a hard as a rock for 6-7 years, like how much else? At what point do we get? And plus, I do think the creationist thing is now. I don't think you don't need to worry about them as much.
Yeah.
They're not. They shouldn't be the main focus.
You're
Or
right.
the
Well, it's
concern.
When mainstream
they're dead.
Christians are telling them to shut up, you're embarrassing us, they've kind of lost their argument.
yeah,
I think I made a video about that earlier in the year, saying we've won. That was my thing. We don't need to respond to their claims because we've won, and that's it. It's not. It's just let them go. They're gonna die out.
But when I came to YouTube, I hadn't encountered those things. So it was Aaron Raw, and then it was him, and I learned about these things from them, and I didn't know.
I did too. I didn't know about evolution until I watched like Thunderfoot and Don Exodus's videos.
Yeah. So, and they made it very easy to learn. The thing is, I didn't realize that there was such a thing as drama on YouTube until. And
you naive child, you.
No, yeah, I know.
That was a
I
blessing.
came in a Christian, so you have to understand. I came in a Christian who did not believe in evolution. Who didn't? Well, not believe. No, there's a fucking believe. It's just a know or you don't know. And
I'm glad you joined up now.
Oh, I am so
understand
glad.
or don't understand.
Satan will be so pleased with your decision.
Yeah. Oh well. Yeah. Anyway.
Something I always think is funny is like when you look at how people started off when they came to YouTube. What helped me find the atheist community was someone shared an amazing atheist video on Facebook. It had nothing to do with his atheism. It's one of those like man rants he did way back in the day.
Isn't that every video that he does is a man rant?
I mean, if you look his older stuff, I mean, back in 2008, I mean, it was watching his videos that made me decide. Cause I was thinking, should I do this? And I saw his videos, and I was like, I could fucking do this. So I thought I'll give that.
I actually found out that some of them where he's recording, he lived in the same town as me, and I had no idea about that. It was weird.
But I mean, that was back when YouTube, when you would do like, I mean, you do a response video and you just like play the video and you sit there and play it, and you don't edit it or put it, but you can't do that now. I mean, once you get to a certain level, there comes a point. This is why I'm quite content with never being a big channel on YouTube, because like if I have to make a video that's 27, 30 minutes long, 35, 40, it will be that long. I'm not going to sort of sit there and boil it down to a load of just a load of catchphrases, which is what you have to do if you're going to talk about stuff like that. But that's the problem with politics on YouTube. The fact is, politics is fucking boring. But in order for you to understand it properly, you have to talk about it in extreme detail, and you can't just come out and say blah 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 Muslims, blah blah the left, blah blah political.
That's what bad comment. That's when all you want is a reaction, or all you want to do is vent your spleen. You do that, but when you're actually trying to make sure that everyone is on the same page with you when you start registering your complaints or observations, you want to make sure that people know what you're talking about.
But also the other thing about political rhetoric you learn, particularly watching YouTube videos and it's like political rhetoric like that. It's very much like sort of text in religious text, in the sense that it's so vague that the person fills in the gap. Like when someone says this is just political correctness gone mad, it's like, what does that actually mean? Because what's politically correct to him might not be politically correct to me, or people just say that people just talk in these slogans and phrases that ultimately the person is going to interpret their own way, because they think that they get, and that's how you generate it, and then it's hard to respond to what this person's saying fully, because you're going to get 50 different people saying what he was saying there was that, and you get like everyone who posts a comment has a different interpretation of what they were talking about.
Right. Yeah. That's it, Dick. I have to say, I think one of your channels is probably one of the first 10 I subscribed to when I first joined YouTube.
Same with me.
I didn't.
And this is like 3 or 5, 6 years ago now.
It's going to be 6 years in a month.
Yeah, and I have to say, and continuing on with what I was saying was, when I first encountered you, Dick, it was because of a Thunderfoot video, and of course he made you look like shit.
Yeah.
And I was like, who the fuck is that guy? He's a dick, because I love Thunderfoot right now, and Thunderfoot taught me about evolution, and so
he's my friend, and anyone who attacks my friend has got to be bad.
He cut it in a way that you were saying, do you like that? Do you like? I can't do an English accent, so I'm sorry. And I'm sitting there going, what the fuck is this about? And then about a year later, I came across another one of your videos, and I was like, this guy isn't a dick. What the fuck is going on here? And it was about just about that moment that I realized that there are actually people arguing with each other on not just about specific topics, but with each other about bullshit. And
Yeah.
it made me not want to enter this arena for another year or so.
Yeah.
He literally made you look like shit, and I had no
Well, I
idea
mean,
about who you
I
are.
personally, I mean, I know what his video intended to do that, but I mean, I came away thinking, you know, if the videos he made about me, the 4 that he's made, I'm just like, there's nothing in them. They're just, I mean, there's nothing there of any sort of. So, I mean, he's probably got some. I don't know, he's either sort of deliberately manipulative, or he happens to. He's got a problem where he just coincidentally only ever sees certain videos that you make and happens to sort of take them out. He never sees the videos you make where you're actually putting arguments together and stuff. He finds all the other stuff that is there, and I didn't mind it because it's like, you know, I made all these videos here, I made all these arguments and points, and you've ignored them, you've run away at every point, and this is what you come up with. He's mental. Well, I've been telling people that for, you know, the best since I've been there. And then what's the other one?
Sorry, I have to go. Chepo's home from work, so.
Okay.
All right, good night.
Right.
Good night.
Actually, I'm going to take this opportunity to jump out too.
Oh, thank
Enjoy
God the
your
women were living.
sausage fest.
Oh,
Sausage fest.
I love
Bye.
it. Bye.
Bye.
Finally.
The women are
Right,
God.
now the women have gone, right.
So can we talk about boobs now?
Now we can talk about cock.
Oh, okay, yes, that's good. I'll talk about dick all day. Mine, not.
How is that different from any other day, Atticus?
Actually, I don't get to talk about dick much during my day.
Only with your straight friends on YouTube.
I guess so. So let's not talk about it.
All right, fine. Actually, the video that I posted today is commentary on and partially inspired by that time that Thunderfoot decided that he was a psychiatrist and wanted to diagnose you with a mental
This
disorder.
was a funny thing. There's a guy I know called Ryan Wiley. He was on Twitter because Thunderfoot was on the Amazing Atheist podcast tonight. And you know, I'm sure it was very reasonable series of conversations, but it was like, I refused to go. I kept getting people messaging me saying, "Go and join this." I'm like, no, I literally would rather remove my scrotum with the end of a wooden cooking spoon than sit here and go and watch that. My friend Ryan was tweeting about it. My friend Ryan was tweeting about it, and at one point Thunderfoot started complaining about Rebecca Watson calling him a sociopath. I'm like, yeah, it's really fucking annoying, isn't it, when someone sits there and decides to start, you know, some unqualified, you know, pain in the ass starts waxing lyrical about your mental
He really
states
does
and stuff
not.
like that.
That was one of the things, is that he doesn't seem to tolerate criticism very well.
No.
It's not the intoleration of criticism, because that's true of everyone, really. I mean, everyone, you know, everyone's like that to an extent. No one likes sort of, you know, bit necessarily being told they're wrong and that. But it's just the blatant sort of double standard. Like, it's okay when I do this because I'm fighting for a righteous and just cause. It's wrong when you do it. You know, it's like the whole thing about photoshopping his head onto stuff. Or that fake Twitter account, neither of which I was involved in, but that I got the blame for. And it's like, you're the guy who championed Draw Mohammed Day because, you know, fuck anyone's feelings, freedom of speech trumps everything. And, you know, it's like he's made, like, he's following Atheism Plus Twitter account, which isn't Atheism Plus, it's an Atheism Plus parody account. And it's like, and you're sat there complaining about a Thunderfoot. It's like, it's so and just the lawsuits, just throwing lawsuits out there at people and saying that, you know, and encouraging, like in the second video he made about me, he's encouraging people to report me to YouTube because my first channel was banned. I'm like, really? Like, when did you give a fuck about terms of service all of a sudden? You know, you're just like, and yeah, so it's that.
He encourages tactics that the worst, the most notorious YouTubers on YouTube, people who have been rightly vilified and tossed out on their ear, have used, that he has criticized. He then turns around and advocates in a kind of cult leader type fashion.
But I mean, this is the problem I've always had with the sort of way atheism is put across by a lot of people on YouTube. Is it was put across this idea as once you're an atheist, you're immediately a much more reasonable, rational, and sane. And it's like no, it just means you don't believe in God anymore. It's like you could, if you were a prick and an intolerant, ignorant arsehole when you were a Christian, the odds are you probably will still be one when you quit. It's going to take time.
You're still going to be
and
one.
A lot of people, particularly if they're younger people, they're still going to have that. They're not going to be fully out of that religious groupthink thing. They're going to be drawn to it still, and they're going to be drawn towards that comfort of being part of something that's a collective. And that's what a lot of these people do. That.
Yeah, in his first video back on YouTube, he talks about, I need a group now that I am no longer a Christian, and I will join Atheism Plus. And the video is great because he explains how it's like, oh, well, I felt like being part of a group. Well, guess what? If you disagree with any point, you're automatically a fucking rapist. Which is why I was voyeuristic when I was on YouTube for up until last year. For that reason, I was like, holy shit, if I say an awkward word in a chat or say the wrong thing, these people are going to fucking shit on me and call me this and call me that,
Well, see, I've adopted this policy. I don't care about what happens on YouTube. It means almost next to nothing. If I walked out to the mall and asked someone, oh, tell me what you know about Thunderfoot, they just give me a blank stare. They're like, isn't that the rabbit from the Bambi movie? And I'd be like, no. And then you could ask them almost, even the top ones. You say, do you know who the Amazing Atheist is? Yeah. Just a blank stare because, this isn't, we're not famous
there's
to the conventional
There's only two YouTubers that people would have heard of, and that's Fred and Justin Bieber. They're the only two people.
And PewDiePie. I would say quite.
Have you really heard of PewDiePie? I mean, like in real terms.
My son. You know what? My son. I asked him. Like, have you ever heard the name of the Amazing Atheist? And he says, well, yeah, I've watched a couple of videos of his. And then if you ask him who PewDiePie is, he's like, yeah, I tried to make a gaming channel because I saw his, and this is, it's like all his friends know it, and they're like, I have 5,000 subscribers on this stupid channel where I do a screen share of me playing Minecraft, and they know who it is.
I say fair play. If I'd have figured that out, I'd have done it.
The worst thing in the world when I was growing up and when I was in my 20s, the most boring thing that you can possibly do with your time was watch someone else play a video game. And now that's all the channels on YouTube.
To him repeatedly.
But there are some people who are, I mean, I'm not a gamer at all. I don't have a console. I haven't had one for over a decade. But there's a couple of gaming channels I do like watching. It's like there's a KSI is one. He has a funny gaming channel, but it's more to do with the way they are when they're
comedy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Critical is a guy called Critical who's just fucking hilarious when he plays video games. Edible Napalm was quite funny when he used to play video games as well. But yeah, I mean, I'll watch anything if that's got good. Yeah. If the person in there is likable enough, or I like listening to anyone who enjoys what they do. You know what I mean? It's like there's a certain satisfaction in listening to. It's like the reason certain shows like Top Gear is a really popular show, but it's popular. I don't drive, and I've watched every episode of Top Gear, and I know I could tell you, and I don't drive a car. I can't even drive. I've never driven a car, but it's like I like watching. It's why I like watching things like Jackass as well, because it's just a group of people who enjoy what they do, and they're having fun, and there's some sort of satisfaction in that, and it's the people who make videos doing nothing but moaning about everything that get on my tits more than anything.
Yeah, after 6 years of exposure to atheist videos, I've unsubbed from a lot of people because they're basically just going around on a loop. They're not discussing anything different, or they're hitting the same point. Shush.
Well, we all know about her. There's nothing new you can say anymore, is there? I mean, this is the problem with a lot of it's like one of the problems with
It's not like we found a whole new way to not believe in God.
Well, not only that, there's just nothing new to respond to, is there? I mean, you've
No.
got the problem. If you come on, I mean, 6 years ago, it was easy to come on and do videos about it. But if you're someone, we don't need another series debunking creationists, because there's like 5 or 6 that have already been done that have done it already. It's like, we don't need another fucking video about Pascal's wager, or another video asking is atheism a religion, or another video asking about, if I see another one called is Islam a religion of peace? No is the answer. Okay, it's like I don't need. It's like I figured it out when the buildings were blowing up and suicide bombings were happening. I didn't need you to figure it out to come and tell me. And just like, and that's the thing that just sort of is that. And then you look at people on this, like Jacqueline Glenn is one who's like who's shot out, very in short popularity. But you look at her content; it's like 2008 stuff. It's stuff you've seen. And there's nothing new there. There's nothing I haven't heard. And the problem is now we've got to a point where all the atheists who are out there can easily watch videos that debunk and refute religious arguments. So now they're making videos parroting what someone else has said rather than coming up with their own. And that was the thing when I came on YouTube. It's like I'd been an atheist all my life. I'd never read The God Delusion. I didn't read Christopher Hitchens or any of this other stuff. I already knew why I didn't believe in God. It's for my own reasons, and it's like, and when I see someone talking about, and they're just parroting something they've heard, like heard Dawkins say or heard some other atheist, I'm just like, did you think of that, or is that just an argument they come up? Is that the reason? Because generally arguments like that are not the reason people reject anything. Generally it's not generally arguments like that just. They're there for you to think about, but generally it's the people who are sat on the fence who are not involved in the discussion, the people who just watch a video and won't comment. They're the ones who are going to be there. But if for the people who deconvert, there's generally a gradual process, and there has to be something personal usually involved that happens to them that actually makes them go and do that. It's like religious apologetics. I've always said the problem they have is their arguments that are written after the fact.
Yeah, it's rote.
They're written by people who believed in God, not written by people. They weren't written by people who were convinced by these arguments to believe. The Kalam cosmological argument or the teleological argument. These didn't convince anyone. These were just made by people who were already convinced. And that's happening now with atheists. Atheists are memorizing all the arguments. I could debunk a creationist easily because I know what I'm supposed to say, but there's no point because.
Yeah, I wouldn't even. I don't. One of the things is why bother debunking a creationist when all you really have to do is chuckle to yourself and leave, because there's you're not going to change them. You're not going to.
When I've made my few recent videos, I did one debunking a creationist, and it was fun. And I honestly did it just for entertainment. And then Armored Skeptic and I decided to debunk a bigot, a homophobic bigot, and that was a lot of fun. And I realized I'm just doing this for fun. There's nothing about it that is really going to. I mean, I would hope that maybe there are some people who go, oh, well, those are the answers to that question. But rarely, I mean, it's merely just fodder and entertainment for the atheist community. And Armored Skeptic pointed that out to me. Yeah. I came across a more recent video where someone did the exact same thing, where they were just a bigoted homophobe and they didn't look up shit and they were a fucking asshat. And I'm like, oh, it's video time. And then I'm like, you know what? It's the same thing over again. So that's why my most recent video is more or less just me talking about life and being able to, write a story that people enjoy, which is why I enjoyed people like Phil Helenies a lot because he just talks.
He hasn't been around for ages, has he, Phil? He's been gone for a while. But yeah, that's the other thing that annoys me is like it's like these. You get these people who make their videos and they get an audience, and it's an audience who have chosen to watch them based on the videos they've made, and yet there comes a point where it's almost like the person making the video becomes trapped by the amount of people they've got, and they're scared to sort of rock the boat or try something different so they end up making essentially the same video over and over and over and over again, and it's like, and it keeps the the base happy, but it's like, to me, it's like that was the one thing about one of the things about my channel that I wanted to make sure that everything I did, like, you didn't know what video I was going to upload next, what sort of thing I was going to do. And because this is what's interesting when you get people who because I respond to certain views, like when you respond to Condell or someone like that. I mean, Condell makes the same video over and over and over again. He's done the same video 125 fucking times in a row. And so when people come to my channel, and people are so used to YouTubers doing this that when they come to my channel, they watch one video and they assume that every video I do is like that, and so they respond and make an assertion about this. Like, they'll say, "Oh, you'll make videos about this, but you won't make a video about the Muslims." Well, I'm like, right, well, I've done these 2 videos here. It goes, "Oh, well, you'll make videos about the Muslims. You won't ever go to the Jews." I went, "Oh, I did these videos." It's like, stop there, mate. Watch my videos, then tell me why I haven't done a fucking video about. It's like just. It's just,
you know, my channel
sort of...
doesn't. My channel is satire, so I can do whatever the fuck I want. That was the whole point. That's why I changed my name from the Positive Atheist, because I was just kind of done with the atheist scene, and changed it to Opinion-Ville because there was more that I wanted to talk about. And I figured I could probably do it better if I wrote sketches rather than just put it all in my voice and put it out as opinion. And people, when I first made the change, they were like, "I don't like this. I don't like this topic change. You're not talking about religion anymore." And it's like, because it's fucking boring. How many times do you need me to make?
What do you want me to say that you haven't heard already? You know.
Yeah.
Well, it's like the people. It's like when people would say to me, it's like, you know, I'll do stuff about the EDL and this, that, and the other, and all these other groups, and they'll say, you know, why haven't you done a video about the Islamic groups? And I'm like, you don't need me to. It's like, there are plenty of people out there already talking about it, but there's nobody out there talking about this. It's not my job to make videos about Muslims for angry people on the internet, you know. It's like, but these people don't go. They won't go up to someone they won't go to someone who's doing that and then say, "Why don't you make a video bashing the EDL?" It's like that. It's like there's no need for me to address a balance here. It's like, you know, I don't have to mention every group, otherwise each video would be 400 hours long, because I've got to go through list everyone and talk about, you know, all the twats that are in there.
Every once in a while, I'll get a PM when I manage to find my inbox, and there'll be someone who is there saying, "When are you going to do a video about Islam?" or "When are you going to do," you know, or I basically call them the little instigators, people who want you to put yourself out there in what they perceive to be a dramatic way, and my response is because you requested it. You know, I don't respond well to people who are kind of daring me to, you know, do this or do that, or, "Hey, why don't you do everyone keeps asking me, "What's your problem with Thunderfoot? Why don't you do a thing about Thunderfoot?" And I said, "I have a character named Dunderhead. I don't think I need to say much more than, why don't you take a look at that character, and then let me know what I think of not just him, but of any what I consider what I call fundamentalist atheists."
This past episode was excellent. I loved it, by the way. And I already said that, but it was.
I hadn't realized that I had never done an episode about that, and how rampant it was about these people who come on and saying, "Well, based on the behavior of someone on a video, I've determined that they have cognitive resonance disorder," or, you know, any number of
I
bullshit
might
they
say,
pull out of a bag.
By watching a video, I'm like, well, the shit that this person is telling me that they're lying. I might say that. But I don't think I'll say, "Oh, well, they must obviously have borderline personality disorder because I don't have no education."
Generally, when people are very insistent that you make a video about a certain subject, it's because they're doing that thing. It's because they want to know what side you're on. They want to know, are you on? Because to them, it's like you're either.
So they can decide if they like you or something.
You're with us, or you're against us.
Or you're. Yeah, you're either with us, and that's the thing. And they do it with the Islam thing, because they're the people who's like, it's like Islam is evil and this, that, and the other. It's like, well, you know, it's like, because they'll do that thing that all sort of paranoid, sort of nationalistic sort of people do, where they sort of say, "Well, when the race war comes, it's going to be between us." And it's like, you know, they'll say, you know, one day, you know, you're going to have to pick a side one day when the Muslims are like, "I'm going to move to France." How about that? Is that there's the third option, right? I'm going to sit here. Or I'm going to be like Don King. I'm going to watch the, you know, Muslims versus everyone else. I'm going to wait to see who's winning, and then I'm going to join.
Yeah, I'm going. Yeah, you're going to have a prayer rug in one hand, and
They'll say, "What will you do?" One person said to me, "It's like, what are you going to do when a Muslim's, threatening about to cut your head off with a sword?" I was like, "I'll convert."
and what they also have to understand, there's about 1 billion other steps that need to take place before there is actually a Muslim threatening to cut off your head.
Yeah, but it's like people just don't have that. They're just determined to have that. There's this enemy, and I'm like, there's 1,000,001 places in between this, and it's like we can all just, it's not a choice between right-wing fascist government or an Islamic theocracy. These are not the only two options available to us.
I just wish people would think. Just think rather than react. There are so many just reaction videos to things, and they're not taking the time to think through their position and properly express it the way they want. That I would. I'd like to sit down and take some time and actually think about what it is that I'm trying to say before I commit it to video and put it out in front of everyone. Some people, their reactions are spot on, and they can do that, and I praise them. But a majority of people out there, they don't realize how much of their internal workings they're exposing by doing these kinds of reaction videos. And I don't respond well to people who haven't thought out what it is that they're about to say.
Yeah.
And the funny thing about my reaction to Godzilla again.
No, you're an asshole, and I hate you. That's what it is. No, it was. No, the whole reason why Steve and I are doing late seating is kind of like that. There are people who get home after having seen a movie 10 minutes before, and they sit down and they say, I just saw a movie and I hated it, and then they haven't had a chance to really digest the film. I feel that way about a lot of art. A lot of people want immediate. They want to express their immediate reactions to something right away, and
that's because they want to get the views in while it's hot. They want to have one of the, because if you've got a Godzilla review, and it's like, right, you're one of the first people to see it, you're going to have one of the first reviews up, and people will watch a review of someone who hates a film more than if you have a title saying Godzilla fucking sucks, that's going to get more views than someone just making a review about something, So.
There are a lot of.
How did you feel about the X-Men movie?
I'm not telling you. You have to watch the show, goddamn.
I'm going to be at work. Come on.
Steve, it's not like it's going to disappear. I'm putting it on the channel. You can watch it at your leisure.
I'm just being a dick.
For the record, I did like Godzilla. I just had a few problems with it.
I know. I'm not.
I liked Godzilla too. I quite liked it.
Everyone's entitled to their own opinion.
I think anyone who lived through the 1998 one would immediately like this one.
Lived through it.
If you were too young to remember it, or you've never seen it, then I guess at that point you might just be looking at this differently. But I mean, if you were around to watch Godzilla 1998, where it's just, and the thing that annoyed me the most about it is something barely anyone talks about. It's like the fact they tempted Godzilla in the 1998 one with fish. I'm like, it's a fucking lizard.
Yeah.
It's like
they live on radiation, for God's sake.
They don't eat fish.
They don't eat fish, but he did, and the entire time they had that entire pile of fish in the middle of
That's a lot of fish.
I was screaming in my head, "Poison the fucking fish! Just put poison in the fish, and you have one big dead lizard." Instead, they're just gonna shoot it because that's how dumb we are.
You're the guy that shouts in the theater.
I don't shout out loud. The worst thing I've ever done in a theater is I fell asleep watching Matrix Revolutions. My memory of that movie is waking up enough to watch people leaving the theater and then falling back asleep. That's my entire memory of that movie.
And so did an usher come by.
You just killed off Trinity, and I don't care.
But I mean, if I had rushed out and given my opinion of A Clockwork Orange the first time I saw it,
oh really?
I would have said, "I fucking hate this movie. How dare he glorify violence, and it's difficult."
That's the point of the movie.
But
and
it's one of my favorite films of all time, and people would not have known that that I had to digest what he was saying before I voiced my opinion of it.
Exactly.
Sometimes you have to do that. You have to watch the film. Like, I didn't like Dread. You know, the last Dread movie.
Oh,
I didn't like it when I
fucking
saw it in the
love
cinema. I thought it was just slow, and I just thought it was. I just didn't do anything. And then I watched it again a couple of months later, and I thought, well, actually, I can. You know, it is quite good. And then I sort of got, it sort of grew on me. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that movie when I saw it. But usually the really good test for me is if I watch it again, because there are some movies that I've only watched once and I thought they were enjoyable, but I know I'm not going to go back to them. But if there's something that I've watched over and over and over again, then I know for certain that it's something that I really enjoy. It's like Harold and Maude. When I first saw Harold and Maude, I was in high school, and I thought it was
Never
funny.
seen it.
But I didn't watch it again until I was in college, and then I started watching it on a loop. I was just like, if there was something going on, if I was, masturbating or whatever, there was, Harold and Maude was on the VCR in the background.
I might have to just go and watch that. I've never seen it.
You shouldn't.
Everybody
on the recommendation that he would wank during it. Is that what?
Yeah. Yeah, because, the roof. Oh my God!
Everybody recommends, watch Casablanca, and I'm not going to watch it. You want to know why? Because you recommended it. That's why.
One of my ex-girlfriends I was staying with in 2011. She insisted. She was trying to get me for ages to watch Gone with the Wind, the full uncut, like director's cut, which was 4.5 hours long, and it took me a week to build up to this, and I did a lap of honour around the living room when it was over. I've never.
I fucking hate that movie. That's one of those movies.
That was just Confederate fucking propaganda.
Yeah. There was a huge thing about it was almost like a Southern apologist movement where the South. Whoop, he's gone.
Whoops.
Oh, I think he exited.
Now he's back.
Oh, there we go. Okay.
Where in the United States there was just a swell of Southern apologists, both in literature and in movies, where the South was depicted as noble but doomed. And that's bullshit from beginning to end. I have never been more angry than when I watched that fucking movie. And I knew I was going to get angry because I had heard enough about it up until that point. And then when I watched it, it was like, this is just a fucking romance novel set in the South, made and sanitized to the point in which it's an insult to people who fucking died in that goddamn war. And by the way, that was only about a generation away from people who were still alive who had actually fought in the Civil War. And I was flabbergasted. I was honestly flabbergasted. I understand racial politics at the time were much different back then, but to be that level of dishonesty where they completely sanitized slavery to that point, and the fact that people love it. It's one of those movies where I hear people say they love the movie, and I just don't see it. Titanic's the same way. I know people who fucking love Titanic, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? This is the most hackneyed, boring piece of shit I have ever seen in my entire life. What are you saying? Well, I'm not shy about it.
I
like Titanic.
The director.
Did you really? Don't you fucking say that?
Is he kidding?
I
will make my first rant video.
I do like some utter shit movies, but I don't care if it's not. I'm at that age now where I don't care whether it's cool or not to like something. If I like something, I'll listen to it. It's like I've got Miley Cyrus Wrecking Ball on my iPhone. I'm not ashamed.
I heard you playing that shit on online.
I would. If I was 18, when I was 18, I would never put it on there. I would have hidden it and then under the floorboards, and it would have turned into
Yeah.
I don't like the faux disdain for things that are popular that you see sometimes, especially with
music. Particularly with music. The ones I hate are the people who like they liked a band, and then that band becomes really big and popular, and then they stop liking them.
And they
And
stopped
it's like,
liking
and it was like I saw them play in a toilet, and there was only 2 people there. One of them was dead. It cost 5p. And now look at them on TV earning money doing this and being
Oh my
successful.
God,
How
they-
dare they?
They want to be rock stars. What pieces of shit!
Yeah.
They actually want their music heard. That's
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah, it's sort of like people hate something as soon as it's. And it's like I have this with Justin Bieber. The people who annoy me more than Justin Bieber and Justin Bieber fans are people who hate Justin Bieber, because they are the only reason that I ever hear about Justin Bieber. If people didn't bang on about every single thing he did, it was like I wouldn't have ever heard after hear anything about him. And
Kind of like when you accidentally,
it's-
or somebody shared a link on your Facebook page somehow that was bashing Justin, and it's like, I had to get on there. It's like, but he didn't actually do this, and then people go, "Oh, you're defending Justin. What are you doing defending Justin? He's a piece of shit." But it's not true. And then I think you posted on it saying like, "Yeah, I didn't actually
it's
share
this
that."
thing. But it's this new thing with him. He caught on film saying the word nigger and telling a racist joke. I'm like, he's 15 for God's fucking sake.
Yeah, actually, I think it was
I'm like-
14 when he did it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's like whenever it's someone caught on camera saying something, or caught recording it, I always like to say to people, can you tell me with a hand on heart that there is no point in your life where had someone had a camera running or had someone recorded it and that got released that you would look quite bad if that was brought out? And the truth is, none of us have
Like,
got
I'm
that.
old enough to
Absolutely.
predate political correctness, and I will say this, and Atticus, you are a friend of mine. I was raised by lesbians. I had lots of gay friends, but calling someone a fag was just de rigueur when I was growing up.
You know what? And I have to say, it's fine. I have never, I don't think since high school, been called a faggot. I don't know how I would feel if someone did call me that. But when I hear it these days, it is a joke. It's like Louis C.K. says. When you just called someone a faggot, you just called them a faggot. You know what I mean? It didn't mean gay. It was just a thing. And I'm annoyed with political correctness in general because it sanitizes everything. Nothing's funny anymore. And the best way he put it was like,
Nothing's funny anymore. Yeah.
well, no, I'm saying I'm
Nothing's
afraid
funny.
that nothing will be funny anymore. That
No.
Well, no, that's
that
rubbish.
everything will
That's
become
absolutely-
so
Can
sanitized.
I tell you why? Because
Yeah.
as doing stand-up comedy, you hear this all the time. People talking about political correctness. You look at the comedians around now and look at the things they're saying and getting and even on TV, they're getting away with and saying more than they ever could have done. In the old days, comedians who you're watching on TV now, at 9 o'clock in the evening, they would have been arrested for saying the thing. I mean, Lenny Bruce got arrested and went to court for saying the word schmuck.
Yeah.
This was in the good old days before political correctness, and it's nonsense.
I
There's
guess
more things you can get away with saying now.
Yeah, what I mean
Yeah.
is though, in your daily life, on TV is one thing, but when I mean I'm at work and you're supposed to be mostly, polite and correct. But if your friend makes a joke with you, it shouldn't be that you get fired because somebody made a joke that this and that. That's what I mean. Your daily life is so
that's just the way. But you know what? I've had this before because there comes a point in your life where. And I'm sort of recognising it now. It's like when there was words you could say when I was younger, but now you wouldn't say at all. Like the word spastic when I was younger, spastic
Or
was just
retard, for that matter.
People with cerebral palsy were called spastics. That was the name of the organisation. They were called the Spastic Society. But spastic took on this new connotation. It became a word that was used to insult people like that, and so they changed their name. And now the word spastic is it's a really, really offensive word. And so the thing is, I say this myself, I've done stand-up on YouTube videos, and political correctness has never seemed to have got in the way of what I'm doing. In fact, it's the people who are so anti-political correctness who tend to be the ones who are trying to sort of take most offence to what I do. And And so it's a completely, the idea that you can't, just sanitizing language is ridiculous, because language isn't one thing. And the fact is, like, it's like when you hear people who are like 30 years older than me saying, oh, in the old days you could say, you could call a packy or a spook or a nignog, you could say this about that, and you could say, and it's like, yeah, you could, but now, now we're not gonna. And if
when directed at a person, yeah.
But I mean, the difference is there's a difference between language and intent.
Mm-hmm.
And intent is how you use it. It's how it's words are important, but it's the intent behind those words that everyone
also,
should
I mean,
be giving.
Context.
Then if you've just got to be, I mean, if I'm at work and if I'm at work, I'm just going to sit there and think, well, I don't need to tell rude and disgusting jokes at work and I'm not going to bother. Because I can, I'm there to work anyway. Mm-hmm. So there's and we all do that. I mean, how many of us don't sort of censor ourselves depending on what environment we're in? It's Christmas dinner, your nan's there, you're with the kid.
Yeah, you're not going to talk about the time you nearly got your dick sucked
yesterday.
You're
not going to do the joke about two nuns in the bath at that one, are you?
Yeah.
And if the same way, if you're at work and it's lunch break, you're not going to do the joke about the Queen doing a joke about a black man's willy or whatever. It's stuff like it's just these are little things that and the thing is that just tends to happen. You go through, and when you look at it historically, there's a stereotype that exists, and then it becomes like there was a time when the Jews were just migrating over and doing stuff about Jews was that was what it was. And the same with people from India, people from Africa, Polish people now, Australia, all these different Mexicans in America, and there comes a point where it's like it'll all change. And it's just that's the way people have always been, and the fact is we're just aware of it now is the only difference. It's not that the language has changed. There'll always be words coming around that people will use that are different, But if me just being told, can you not sort of say racial or homophobic slurs while you're at work, and
I'm sorry. To clarify, the people I work with, we're so close that it's not like that. We've never actually been called and fired over something like that. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying is, in general conversation, if you're like, oh, wasn't that funny when that dude said this, and then you make reference to something that was, happened to be funny in that context, and then all of a sudden they get fucking fired for it. It's like, oh Christ Almighty, come on.
Well, I mean, the thing is, that's more to do with, that's not political correctness as much. That's to do with the company wanting to appeal to the biggest market possible. And the fact is, now we live in a world where people are more tolerant of homosexuality, of minorities, and they're more, and the fact is that's the way business is going to work. That's the way capitalism is going to work. They're going to say, right, we want to appeal to the biggest majority. We don't want to be seen as this company who's got these people who has this kind of reputation, and we don't want people to feel uncomfortable for working for us, because if one gay guy hears that joke and goes out, and then then it's going to make us look bad, and that's what it's all about. It's about their image and stuff like that. And the fact is, I can even speak this from a place of comfort, because I'm a white heterosexual male who's never been picked on because he's homophobic, who's never been a racial minority. I've never been a woman who's had to put up with people wolf whistling at you or calling you sweetheart or darling or whatever. I've never had to be in any. I'm not disabled, so I'm not going to sit here and pretend that my inconvenience for watching what I say in certain areas is going to trump their discomfort, or maybe me bringing up a bad memory or making them feel awkward. You know what I mean? That's where I'm sort of stand with it.
Yeah.
See, I think that the knee-jerk, anti-political correctness, are people feeling that they're, it's easy to just say, well, these are just people who obviously are feeling threatened about their innate racism or their innate, this, that, or the other thing. I'm more of the type of person that said language. I don't want political correctness. How am I going to be able to tell who the assholes are if they're not allowed to speak exactly the way they want?
Exactly.
But the thing you've got to remember is the political correctness. It's not something. There's this idea that it's a forced put on. It's not. It's something that's just developed over time. It exists naturally of its own accord. I mean, it's like it's something that there is no sort of institution called the PC Brigade who go around, harassing people. It's that this political correctness is not an actual thing. It's just a word, an expression we use to describe. So it used to just be things that were offensive, or or things that weren't appropriate or inappropriate or taboo. And we you could still call it. That's 90% of what it is. Is just people saying, and it's always happened in the past where people have been. I'll give you an example. Back when in the 60s and 70s in this country, the Conservative Party ran an election campaign, and to exploit the sort of tensions that were around surrounding certain immigrants from West Indies and Africa, they ran the campaign, if you want a nigger for a neighbour, vote Liberal or Labour. Labour.
Wow.
Right. And there was things like there was guys like there was a story another comedian tells, because Stuart Lee, he talks about when he was at school, there was one Asian kid in their class and the teacher used to call him the black spot and got away with it and stuff. And there was just stuff on TV that was just these really horrible sitcoms just based on these really, really naff stereotypes that were just incredibly sort of, I mean, nowadays they're just, it's just awkward more than anything. But I mean, like, if it puts people in a position where they're going to start thinking about what they say, because whilst what we say is important, we've also got to live together. If we all went, look at the internet is a good example of what, if we could get away with anything we wanted to say all the time and there would be no repercussions, this is what the world would be like on the internet. Because now every time I'm in a bloody room with 30 people, I'm like, if we were all in a chat room, I bet we'd be ripping each other to shreds. We'd be like, shut up, you dumb motherfucker, go fuck. It's like, and I don't want to live in that, because then
like
we won't get anything done. We'll be too busy being rude to each other. And so
what I hate about, and this needs to be done quickly, there needs to become a sarcasm font. Desperately. Why no one? I think it should be the opposite italics, because there are more arguments started by people who are being sarcastic and they can't read the goddamn comment as being sarcastic. And you see,
generally putting a winky at the end, isn't it? Isn't that normally if you say something and then sort of put a winky smiley at the end?
I fucking hate emoticons, but if you put a winky at the end of it, I guess that takes it out. But I don't want to be typing that goddamn emoticon for the rest of my life, because half of my life, half of the things I say are sarcastic.
The thing is, the emoticon I don't get is the one. The emoticon I don't get is the one that's it's a colon and a P, and it's this. It's like, who does that in real life? It's like if you were talking to someone in YouTube and they'd run away
aside from
screaming.
Miley Cyrus, I can't think of anyone else. I agree with. I appreciate more when people are free to say what they want, especially when it comes from the conservative side of the United States, because the more honest they are, the more I understand. Sometimes I understand more about their position, that they're not as hard-ass as they are supposed to be. But what really bothers me is when I see politicians who are being politically correct because I have no idea how they actually feel about a given subject. They have been washed before being presented,
but the fact is, no one's making them, forcing them to talk that way. They're choosing to because they know what the reaction's going to be. And the fact is, as I said, people can't help being offended by something.
Right.
I mean, being offended is a natural reaction to. It's involuntary. You can't help what offends you. And if a politician says something and they get in trouble, and it's like that's just the way it goes. I mean, they'll moan about political correctness then, but it's like that's just the way it is. If you say something, people have the right to respond, and you can't sit there and go, people are not going to respond this way. I mean, I think ultimately it's just the reason it's dying out. That sort of attitude is the fact that people know now. We grew up in a world now where in the West we're not all just mostly white and mostly this. It's now it's diverse, and I think we've realised now that it's happening whether you like it or not. You're not going to get a kick all. You're not going to be able to kick all the blacks and the Mexicans and the Muslims out. It's just never never going to happen. It's a ridiculous pie in the sky. So you're going to have to learn to live with each other. And people realise now that and more people have got ethnic minorities as friends, more people have got openly gay friends, and so they take that into consideration as well. And so that's what's going to happen. And I prefer that to the old way of where we just said these things casually, not caring whether or not someone nearby heard it, because that was just because generally they would just nod and smile and go along with it, because like that was it. I mean, particularly in this country, we've got Indians and Asians and Pakistanis, and they're so passive. I've never seen them aggressive or angry, or they'll just stand there and listen to this stuff. But and that's kind of why it's like people have grown up now realizing that actually it's not foreigners are not all bad people, and just because you're from a different country, you've got a weird name or you've got a different dress sense, it's not it's not a big deal, and there's no need for that. So racism is bad. Ergo, anything that is acting racist is going to be immediately immediately going to be bad.
Now we're going through
it's what's going to happen.
The conservatives out here are going through a bit of a culture shock because a lot has changed very rapidly for them, and they're kind of standing in quicksand because a lot of their traditional base are very anti-immigrant, very anti-homosexual, but the majority of the country is kind of done with that shit. And they don't know. They're watching the number of people who are willing to vote for them shrink, but the people who donate money to them are the intolerant bastards who they've always got money for. So they're trying to do this kind of weird balancing act where they just come off as psychotic, where they say things like, I support, I'm totally for building a gigantic electric fence with guns and Terminator robots on our southern border. While at the same time, yeah, but I don't like. I know plenty of Mexican people.
Bring back dingo fighting. Put it on pay-per-view. That's the free market in action.
They can see politically that their base are anti-homosexual, but they're having a problem saying anti-homosexual things in public because they know that they'll lose votes, that they'll,
But see, that's where the good thing is, because you say you're worried about what a politician thinks and that, but the thing is, particularly with the Republicans out in America, is they're so fucking stupid that they fuck up far too quickly. They don't see the conservatives in this country. They've had 20, 30 years to refine themselves to make them sound more sort of reasonable. Yeah. And so and they're at a point, and in all fairness, you compare the Tory party now to the Conservative Party in the under Margaret Thatcher in the 70s. It is a lot more. It isn't as bad. It's not good. But and that's the problem with the guys you've got there, isn't it? And also in this country, we don't have right wingers like you in terms of it as a big voting thing. Like I know I do videos about them, but they're not big in numbers like that. They don't make it an election difference the way they do out there. So they've got to appeal to these two groups in a way. And the problem is the politicians know, because politicians want to win at the end of the day, and they will throw any idea under the bus if it's going to get them to win, because that's what they want to do. So they'll, if they had their way, they'd happily sort of run policies that appeal to minorities and gay people and women, and seem inclusive and things like healthcare and gun control. If it was going to get them in, but they also know that they're just going to have this angry bunch of. I mean, you worry about political correctness controlling people. I worry about the nutter with a gun who thinks who's got an arsenal in his basement because he thinks Obama's going to come and take away his guns, and
Obama's going to send you to a FEMA camp and kill you. Yeah.
I mean, if I'm in a fight and it's a load of angry right-wing Christians with guns versus a load of liberals who are pissed off and offended and sending in complaints and tweeting people, I know who's going to win that fight. So.
All right, guys. I have to take a little girl to a softball game tomorrow morning, and
is that a euphemism?
Children are over.
No. I actually have a daughter that I'm bringing to a softball game.
Let's close it down. We're getting close. Richard, thank you so much, man.
Thanks
I have been. You know what? I
didn't say much, but I loved listening to this.
I wanted to thank you for you don't
get a word in it.
Friended.
You don't
I know
comment
you're not, I'm
often on
joking.
my channel, but when you do, you've never been anything but a gentleman. So
And
thank you.
I'm going to
No,
be
no,
very
no,
happy.
it's fine. I'd like to do more. I'd like to do more of these, but like I said, you're always up late at night, and so I don't really get a chance to do them. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
but yeah, if I'm ever around and you're right, yeah, I'll send you a message. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're going to come on
It's
for
a lot
the
of fun.
public spanking in a couple of weeks, right?
Now I get to go back to being the the evil troll that I am. Now the cameras are off, and I start pretending to be nice. And
Yeah. But you're
All
going
right,
to be
yeah.
on next weekend, aren't you, Coughlin?
sorry.
You're going to be on next weekend, aren't you? On the show?
The other show, the public
other one.
spanking.
Spanking.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. That's. No, I think that's me. Yeah, he's doing something about anti-vaxxers, which is great because I know literally nothing about vaccinations.
Well, we need
Oh.
jokes because I got nothing. I got nothing either.
It's just going to be a 4-hour show where I suppress rage. Is all it's going to be.
And
Look
break
at it this
laws.
way. I always say this with anti-vaxxers. At least because of what they believe in. Yes, they're annoying, but they will statistically die quicker.
True.
And their kids will die too. There goes evolution, right there.
Yeah, well, you can't make an omelette and all that, but
All right, it was nice
That's a
meeting
good
you,
expression.
Coughlin.
You can't make an omelet without killing a few kids.
yeah. I'll see you later, guys. You take care.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
And
Okay, talk to
everyone who is still watching, thank you, and have a good night.